and reflected on what Donald Trump was saying as he flew to Texas on Friday. He said that he was upset with the Iranians and he hoped there would be a deal.
He was upset with the Iranians. All right, here's Trey Yingst with his coverage of it right now. Let me see if I can get this on screen.
A Republican senator, and Lindsey Graham, a senator from North Carolina.
Sirens are going off across Israel right
now. He was speaking to them.
Of course, yeah, air raid sirens in Israel. All right, we don't know what the response is right now.
Lindsey Graham is very keen on a strike against Iran. He wants to see some sort of regime change there. But it was hoped that perhaps wiser heads would prevail and point Donald Trump in the direction of the views of his allies in the Middle East, who have warned against a strike of this kind. They are worried that an extended war would destabilize the region significantly. Yeah. So it may just be that it is one and done, and it's the United States putting pressure on Iran to come to a deal. But of course, the Iranians have said this is no way to
more updates to follow.
You cannot do
this
that.
Is breaking news. Air raid sirens are going off across Israel right now.
Where's the thought? Well,
updates to follow. This is breaking news. Air raid sirens are going off.
Indeed, I mean,
fuck high, yeah. This shit's fucking cooked, bro. It's fucking cooked, dude.
News. Air raid sirens.
Air raid sirens going off in Israel.
How long this will go on?
More updates to follow.
And the question.
This is breaking news. Air raid sirens are going.
Complicate the negotiations if they do.
The ministries, Iran's defense minister says his country attacked. Israel's defense ministry says his country attacked Iran.
Military buildup in this region with 2 carrier groups.
The U.S. took part in the airstrikes against Iran's capital.
Even as the negotiations, as the diplomacy was going on, you know, presumably there will be some sort of retaliation from Iran. We don't know the extent of it. We don't know what it's going to look like. The U.S. would have been preparing for a retaliation.
And they have been, and we saw that in the last 24, 36 hours. With
the U.S. launches 3 airstrikes on Iran.
The United States Embassy,
as far as new agency reports,
Jerusalem,
3 explosions in downtown Tehran.
Of all but essential staff. That was a hint that there was something that was going on, that there was concern. And of course, they were saying, well, the talks are still continuing. This would happen in the normal.
You know, after going 3 hours on the live stream today and ending at like fucking 12:15, 12:30, I thought it was over. I thought we were good. Dude, if this is just a show of force, I'm gonna be pissed. Yeah. I just
targets because
I'm trying to get some more recent updates. Let me see what else we got.
The level of participation. We don't know if it was just intelligence. We don't know if there was some sort of logistics involved.
I mean, this is what we talked about, though, right? Like, we talked about that Trump wanted to, do a small strike, just, as a treat, to not get the edge off, right? Israeli cruise missiles passing over Iraq after being launched from Syria.
They were putting their troops
in the region
to carry out some sort of military strike. Of course, the U.S. is buoyed by
holy shit!
In June, which Donald Trump insisted had obliterated Iran's nuclear program. It went incredibly well for the United States.
So they hit him with the cruise missiles at low altitude.
One and done, for want of a better phrase. Would lead to significant risks for the United States. And politically,
let's just show our viewers the military buildup in the region that you've been talking about there, Alan, as U.S. officials.
They are going to retaliate, by the way. They promised that they would retaliate. Something's going to get hit. Is it going to be Israel or is it going to be the Abraham Lincoln or the Ford?
Its military in the region.
That's what we're waiting on next now. That's what we're waiting to see.
It left its naval base in Crete on Thursday and arrived in Israeli waters on Friday afternoon. Powered advanced aircraft launch systems.
Who will Iran strike first? I imagine it's going to be the bases in Syria because those are the closest, and that's what the U.S. evacuated. After that, it's either got to be Israel or it's got to be Doha. One of the two.
Also allows long-term deployment.
And then probably the Abraham Lincoln.
and destroyers.
Because that one's the
giving it air
closest.
defense strike and anti-submarine capabilities. So, Alan, a huge military posture in this region. The concern now, of course, is that if Iran strikes U.S. bases in the region in response, to what extent Washington would escalate.
Exactly, but they have the military hardware in the region to do it. They have put more in the area just in the last week or so. So the feeling always was that we were heading towards some sort of war. But as I said, there are political concerns here for Donald Trump. He campaigned on no stupid foreign wars.
No stupid foreign wars. Yeah, we know about that,
now
dude.
To get involved
that was a lie. That turned out to be a lie, yeah.
The world away and constantly insists there is no intentions of developing nuclear weapons, that it's not heading in that direction. Many in MAGA will be worried about what the United States is getting involved in. But not just MAGA. On Capitol Hill as well, there was talks of passing a War Powers Act, which would suggest that if there was to be any sort of extended conflict with the Iranians, then Donald
big,
Trump
beautiful, short wars, yeah.
He and his team don't believe that is necessary, that under War Powers they can take this action. But there will be a
he's just, it's just a small strike. They won't mind if we just, you know, kill the Ayatollah, you know. Nobody's going to care, right? It's not a big deal. It makes us look tough. Yeah, exactly.
The U.S. Congress has not been
makes us look tough, and then they take a hit, and it makes them look weak. We want to display, you know, that show of force.
Who's in Geneva?
Joe Biden made us weak. Trump make us look strong. Yeah.
Oman's foreign minister, who's been acting as a mediator in the negotiations between the U.S. and Iran, saying he was optimistic about the negotiations. Just 24 hours ago, Badr al-Busaydi has been mediating the indirect talks between Washington and Tehran. He met with the U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance on Friday, and he spoke to U.S. media, the Omani foreign minister, saying that Iran had agreed to not stockpile enriched uranium and described the development as a breakthrough. Let's listen to that. Okay, we're not going to listen to that just yet. We're going to go to Osama bin Javid in Geneva. So, you know, there was cautious optimism, Osama, about, you know, the talks progressing and about a deal possibly being reached. And yet here we are with Israel striking.
Right now with breaking news from the Middle East, Israel has launched preemptive airstrikes against the Islamic Republic of Iran, going after a variety of positions inside the country. Israel's defense minister, Israel Katz, declaring a special state of emergency across the country. Just moments ago, air raid sirens were sounding here in Israel's second largest city of Tel Aviv and across major population centers here in the Middle East, warning civilians to stay close.
Bibi was edging all night. You know, they bombed Lebanon. Remember I said it live on the live stream? I was like, they bombed Lebanon. They just bombed Lebanon. And that really kind of gave me the indication that, and they did it really early in the morning. They really, it was probably like 6 or 7 o'clock in the morning when they did
Israel Katz declared a special and immediate state of emergency across the entire
that kind of gave me the indication that they were going forward with
strike against Iran to remove threats to the state of Israel. As a result, a missile and
UAV been in the kitchen
drone attack is expected against the state of Israel and its civilian population in the immediate
everybody's Monday morning quarterback. I can say I called it, right?
Across the region for the past 2 months. The world's largest
did I really call it?
The USS Gerald R. Ford is now just off the coast of Israel, near to the northern city of Haifa. You have the USS Abraham Lincoln Carrier Strike Group in the Arabian Sea, a variety of U.S. destroyers in locations across the region. And, of course, U.S. fighter jets, not only here in Israel, but also in places like Jordan. You heard just...
What were the Kalshi bets? Who won high? Man, I would have lost because I would have bet. I was saying I would have bet on the 31st, right? On December 31st.
Understanding, though, that they have been incredibly
would have lost big time
to reach agreements with. And while the president sent his negotiators...
But also it depends on if they killed
to Geneva, Switzerland over the past month, both U.S. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff and his son-in-law Jared Kushner ultimately the coordination was happening at the highest level, we understand, between the Americans and the Israelis if a decision was made to launch such a strike. And so we are waiting to get additional information from Israeli and American sources to determine what exactly has taken place. But I'm going to give you all of the updates that we are getting in right now as we receive them. We understand, according to the transportation minister of Israel, that Israel has now closed its airspace to civilian flights. Again,
Iraqi airspace is closed, Israeli airspace is closed. I imagine Syrian airspace is going to be closed too.
Incoming possible ballistic missile and UAV attacks.
We had warned. Okay, here we go.
Remember, we were reporting here live during the 12-day war last June.
Hold on, pause on that. It's about to pop off, bro. Urgent head of Iranian National Security Committee, Azizi. We had warned you of this, and the end of the path you have taken is not in your hands. Iranian Civil Aviation Authority temporary closure of the country's airspace for 6 hours. 7 people have tried to enter the Haji Abad missile base. Yeah, this is the on-the-ground stuff that we were talking about from the MEK. Second round of explosions in Iran. Yo, thank you for the follow. We get a little silly around here. You know, we do cover the news. We cover international topics. This is our first
June,
middle of the war
the Israelis
live
and the
stream.
Iranians exchanged blows.
Generally, we go over, you know, what's going on in the news today.
To get to Israel, and they can cause significant damage to major population centers here. We also know that Israel has a variety of air defense systems at its ability, and some of those include the short-range systems, the Iron Dome system, the
Israel's
system,
claiming that it launched preemptive strikes when there was Iran said that they weren't going to attack first. They said that if you attack us, we will attack you back. So you can't do a preemptive strike on somebody that says we'll only attack you in defense.
As we saw,
we'll only respond.
Not just during the 12-day war, but also when the Israelis and the Iranians in 2024 exchange blows.
The entire Iranian regime was a target, including Khamenei.
That year. Again, if you are just joining us right now, we are reporting live from the Middle East.
So they tried a decapitation method. Let's see if it worked.
Amid the backdrop of
I think that's going to be, you know, the news that we got to hear first, right? Did the decapitation of Iranian leadership work or not?
Israel's Defense Minister Israel Katz is urging all civilians to head to bomb shelters immediately. And again, and I do want to bring in John Scott right now, who is going to continue with our reporting here. John,
here. Out of London, bruv. Iran International English. How did I don't want to. I hate that. Thousands of members of the IRGC have been killed or wounded following attacks on several military centers and positions. Come on, bro. They did three strikes. You're gonna tell me thousands of them are dead now? Come on, dude. Give me something to believe in. Man, on how do I fucking arrange split view? Separate the views. Yeah, all right, here we go. Anyways, back over here.
What do we know about the situation stateside?
Well, it's obviously coming as a great surprise to a number of people here in the U.S.
Only way it'd be thousands if they killed mass civilian infrastructure. Exactly. They would have to nuke a city or a village
before there was any kind of an attack on
which
Iran
is their MO. Yeah, that's true.
But obviously, this the Israeli attack seems to suggest that the United States will be ready with that massive amount of firepower that you were talking about to continue hammering the Iranians. That is yet to be determined, yet to be confirmed by the U.S. State Department or the Department of War. But it is certainly in the offing, or so it would seem. Now we're looking at smoke rising over Iran. Do we know yet, Trey, the extent of the attack that the Israelis have launched?
Right now, it's not clear the extent of the attack that the Israelis have launched, but we do anticipate we'll get more information in even the minutes ahead. As this is developing, we understand that there is a change in the Home Front Command guidelines in Israel and a decision to shift all activities for the civilian population to essential only. Not only is the Army on high alert along with air defense systems, but also you have a situation where the country has now shut down its civilian airspace, again, in preparation for the possibility that missiles or drones could be fired at Israel in a matter of minutes. John, stateside, where the president is this weekend, what do we know about President Trump's schedule?
I'm pumping the media into the
here?
post.
We know he is in Mar-a-Lago.
You want?
Yeah, and
want to see full coverage? You got to go to the post.
Meeting with Benjamin Netanyahu. There was also that warning to U.S. personnel in Israel to evacuate the country as long as they were non-essential. But I think a great many people will be surprised at the timing of this attack, especially coming as it appears to have in daytime. Generally, the Israelis and the U.S. launch these attacks at nighttime when they think they've got the element of surprise. Is it the case, Trey, that these first Israeli
it's nighttime in the U.S. and that's what matters. That's what matters.
Or was it pre-dawn there in Iran?
It wasn't pre-dawn. It happened right at like 8 o'clock in the morning.
Strikes that took place during daylight hours, which, as you noted, is a very rare decision to be made by the Israelis or the Americans. Again, we don't know anything about American involvement yet. If there was any sort of coordination, again, we do know there was coordination in preparation for possible strikes, but we are simply waiting to get any updates from the Trump administration about what has taken place this morning. As you note, though, there are images that we are getting from Iran, just east of the capital of Tehran, showing smoke rising from the horizon. And what we know, though, from the past, and this is very important information, is that
they're showing Tel Aviv.
The Israelis and the Americans, but primarily the Israelis,
they're already ready.
Went after air defense systems back during the 12-day war. And this likely has given the Israelis now.
So we're involved if we help coordinate. Oh, definitely. They said that we took part in the strikes. So I mean, you can say all day that it was Israel themselves, but they can't do it without us. They can never do anything without us.
Systems, some of which were destroyed again by the Israelis over the past year. But when you think about the amount of damage that was caused during the 12-day war, not only with the Israeli strikes, but also President Trump ordering the strikes back in last year, of June of last year.
Iranian television, hospitals in the country declare a state of alert.
Operation Midnight Hammer. The Iranians suffered major blows during the summer of last year, and they have been trying to rebuild their military.
There's additional
and
photos.
According to President Trump and Vice President J.D. Vance, their nuclear program as well. And that's a part of the reason these recent buildup was taking place and new strikes were under consideration. But when we understand what the current state of the Iranian military looks like,
two sets of 3 strikes that have hit so far.
Areas. The nuclear threat and the understanding is that Iran was never able to reach a nuclear weapon. What
U.S.-Israel strikes aim to dismantle Iran's security apparatus, so they're trying to hit the batteries.
They have a medium-range ballistic missile program.
They're trying to hit the S-400s is what they're doing.
According to an intelligence source that I spoke to this week, are somewhere between 2,000 and 3,000 medium-range ballistic missiles.
Isn't that what lawyers and judges call an accomplice? I believe so, yeah.
Short-range missiles that could hit U.S. bases across the region. And that is part of the reason that you saw so much movement at the Al Udeid Air Base in Qatar, for example, in Kuwait, in other areas. It's the reason that you saw the partial evacuation of U.S. missions in the region, allowing non-essential personnel to leave.
The dozens of strikes on American, from the American aircraft carrier carried out on bases around the Middle East and from an aircraft. Wait, what?
in preparation for strikes. We didn't know how they were going to unfold. But again, the latest information that we have...
Dozens of strikes on American aircraft carrier carried out from bases around the Middle East and from aircraft carrier.
From the capital of Tehran, and special instructions were just given to Israeli civilians across the country to remain close to bomb shelters. John?
And one of the huge concerns, obviously, too, is simply the use of those ballistic missiles to create a dirty bomb. Even if Iran does not have a full-blown nuclear weapon, they could put some of that nuclear material that they already have, the uranium, explode it with.
We're launching widespread strikes against Iran from the air and sea,
and contaminate,
according to Al Jazeera, breaking
nuclear fallout that would make it unlivable for generations, perhaps. That is one of the great fears here. Trey Yinks, thank you. We will let you get some notes, and we will get back to you in just a bit. Let's check in with our Rich Edson for the latest from Washington on what's going on in Israel, as well as Iran, where the Israelis have launched what they call a preemptive...
Where'd the window that's stuck and go? Shit!
Good evening, John. And we are looking to get any information, especially...
Hezbollah has strategic weapons. So this escalation
of
attacks really has caused a lot of concern in Lebanon that the country could be dragged into a potential conflict, which is now happening between Israel, Iran, and the United States, because Hezbollah, being Iran's strategic and ideological ally. So these attacks are being seen as preventive attacks to limit the possibility of Hezbollah responding if it chooses to do so, because that in itself is another question.
Zaina, of course, Hezbollah...
Here's this motherfucker from I-24 News, Ariel Oseran.
How might it respond? Will it get involved if there's a...
Fighter jet flies low over Tehran during Israeli-U.S. strikes. So if you want to, if somebody wants to deny that the U.S. is not involved, Israel themselves is saying that the U.S. is directly involved.
Political leadership has been repeating time and time again, warning Hezbollah not to launch what it is calling a new adventure and drag the country into another conflict. But you said, and you pointed out, how Hezbollah has been badly weakened, suffering major blows in the last year or so. Israeli attacks continue against its leadership, against its weapons depots. And, you know, it's a very difficult decision for Hezbollah to get involved. Israeli intelligence assessments say that they believe Hezbollah still has an arsenal of missiles that it is able to use, but they will not pose any existential threat to Israel, a much more superior army. And Hezbollah also knows that if it does get...
Can more troops start breaking key equipment on our ships? That'd be great. Yeah, would be nice.
Its people, its
this man's gonna get us all killed. Somebody on my thread.
Israel could
we're fucking
dozens of airstrikes in Beirut's southern suburbs, causing even more devastation, causing more displacement. There's still tens of thousands displaced by the late
they said I have integrity. That's awesome.
Conflict. So very difficult decisions. A few weeks ago, Hezbollah Secretary General said, and he was speaking during an event in solidarity with Iran, he said, as far as how we would act, those are the details the battle itself will determine. We are expecting to hear from Hezbollah Secretary General in a few hours' time.
Hezbollah is going to get involved?
But no doubt he will have to comment on the latest developments and the strikes on Iran.
Zaina Khodr in Beirut, thank you very much for now. We will, of course, check in regularly with you to find out the latest there from Lebanon. If you're just joining us on Al Jazeera, we're bringing you extensive coverage of this breaking news story. Israel and the United States have attacked Iran. This happened about an hour or so ago. Explosions were heard in the Iranian capital, Tehran, as well as in Isfahan, Qom, Karaj, and Kermanshah. Israel
I was in the middle of playing a match, bro. I thought I was going to be able to play Rivals. Yeah.
And some 20 minutes later, the U.S. announced that it was also involved in that attack. Iranian media reporting that the attacks are happening nationwide as Israel launched these airstrikes.
Look at my game.
But
This is what I was trying to do.
I
was in here.
Preparing for
I'm at 12-2, man. 8.5 is pretty good. 2-4, I got no heals.
Extensive coverage.
5-4, 0 heals, bro. The heals were atrocious.
With us on set, Ali Hashim,
they were so bad. They were so bad. I had to take a break and like look at X. I had to look at the Twitters.
Alan Fisher,
what was
as well
going
as
on.
a reporter in Beirut, and various guests will be analyzing.
I was in the middle of a boss battle in Kingdom Hearts.
We get the latest developments. Let's bring in Alan Fisher in Washington.
I was getting cooked.
Now.
Dude, this match,
Alan,
I was getting absolutely destroyed, man. They even switched to triple heel, and like it wasn't happening. It was bad.
In this attack on Iran, what's the extent of its involvement?
Well, I've been texting with someone.
I pushed in on a penny that was almost dead, and like I knew the healer was coming back, but nobody pushed up with me. I
seem to suggest that they believe that the United States involvement.
All right, anyways, back to the Iranian news.
Decapitating the head of the Iranian regime. They say that from what they
Tehran preparing for retaliation.
Were concentrated in
response will be devastating.
The Supreme Leader may well be living, and so the intention was to try and take out the head of the regime and then see what would happen afterwards. Now, many countries have warned the
Iran's supreme leader moved to a secure location.
And force regime change.
He's still alive. They failed. They failed.
What was the plan?
This was a failure.
And the day after
this was a total failure.
Simply because
a total failure. They did not kill the Ayatollah.
What would happen with that? A pro.
They did not kill the Ayatollah. This is a fucking failure, bro. This is the worst you could do.
And so there could be a great deal of bloodshed.
I give it a fucking D. This is a D attempt. D tier. D tier strikes. L after L, bro. Trump administration, impeach his ass.
As I say, that's just someone who is an
analyst. Get rid of him.
Understands these things far better than I do. But they suggest
he's going to get U.S. soldiers killed. That's what he's going to do.
Ideas that have been floated recently, not least by
that's all that's going to happen now.
Traveling with Donald Trump on Friday, who has said often that he would like to see the supreme leader being replaced. So it may well be that the United States involvement in this was limited to intelligence, but given the size of the U.S. military buildup in the region, there's every possibility that American hardware, American service personnel was also used.
Alan,
Iran Supreme Leader moved to secure location. Israel strikes target Ayatollah Ali Khamenei's headquarters.
The head of the Iranian regime, the Supreme Leader.
Can't even warmonger. We got Dick Cheney rolling in his fucking grave, bro.
From the locations where we saw these attacks are on, that the main objective is not just decapitation, but even hitting.
Yeah, they're still unknown.
And control in the
but allegedly, so, he's being moved to a secure location.
The Supreme National Security Council hitting the surroundings of the
unknown if he's uncertain if he took injuries or not.
But also preventing the Iranians from going towards.
I mean, maybe they're just moving his body. Now, who knows?
The Iranians would have prepared for such a scenario.
If it was a failure, if they failed to kill him,
plan and the third plan and the fourth plan, and this
complete failure, utter failure, bro.
That there are several countries
might as well have done nothing.
They've already seen this
because that's what you did.
Moment that they've seen on the 12th of the 13th of June. Now,
but then were they going directly after the Supreme Leader in June of last year?
Well, there were 3 attempts.
They bombed the presidential palace.
In the June war, but they failed. There was an attack on the Supreme National Security Council convening, incling the president.
ABC News, NBC News coming in late as hell, an hour later.
Ministers of
breaking.
All the main.
She's already broken, bro. What do you mean?
Decision-making process. And this also failed, but they were able to
only 1 in 5 Americans supported an attack on Iran, but Trump did it anyways.
Commanders of the army and the IRGC. So now, even if this succeeded, even if they were able to kill the Supreme Leader,
I wonder what John Kiriko's analysis will be on the. Yeah, I know he's going to be on there soon, right?
This is a very complicated web of influence and also of
exactly the same nonsense in preventative attack with no evidence.
It's going to be it's not going to be an immediate collapse, or it won't collapse directly.
An Iranian official now saying that Tehran is preparing for retaliation, Ali, and that the response will be crushing. What might the response look like?
Well, we know the main asset the Iranians have is their ballistic missiles. And actually, this is one of the issues that the Americans and the Israelis wanted on the table.
And the Iranian didn't want it on the negotiation.
Absolutely. Because they knew that the moment they are going to give up their ballistic missiles, then they are going to be open for any attack. And also, besides that, they have their own drone program that was tested in Ukraine, the war in Ukraine by the Russians. So these are two main military assets that they might be using.
We're cooked,
also,
man.
There is a possibility that they might be activating the region. Their own presence in the region.
Their proxies in the region, like the Hezbollah and the Houthis in Yemen, of course. But
regardless of the situation right now of Hezbollah or the Iraqis or the Houthis, because each has their own local calculations. But now, if this is heading towards an existential threat,
all right, TRT World posting now.
This whole axis is
Trump. We have just begun large-scale combat operations in Iran.
James Bays, this U.S.-Israel attack on Iran coming as there was cautious optimism that diplomacy could work. We saw the third round of negotiations in Geneva.
Here, let me help you. There you go, you're gone.
Foreign minister in Washington saying that he was, optimistic that they could come up with some sort of a deal. And even Donald Trump
said, let's go.
Even if he wasn't happy with what the outcome of the talks in Geneva was, that he still hoped that there could be a deal. And yet, here we are. An attack on Iran. Where does that leave?
Poor little guy. I hope he's getting paid for that, by the way. Because, they do have, the IDF does have their own teams.
In the US, and he doesn't talk very much in public,
on social media.
saying we've made a breakthrough in these talks.
The Indian embassy in Israel has issued an advisory urging all Indian nationals to exercise utmost caution
the Obama deal of 2015
due to the prevailing security situation.
Which will be played on breakfast shows in a few hours' time in the US. At the same time as they've launched this attack. And I think there is a problem here for Donald Trump. He has not...
Modi's there? I don't think Modi's there. I thought he already left.
For war. This is the biggest armada that's been gathered in the Middle East since...
Anita, where is Modi?
2003 and the attack then. Well,
Iran to respond with crushing attacks, Iranian official says.
From days after that, he was preparing the ground. George
live report: 4 warplanes, 4 jets flying over the West Bank right now towards Tehran.
1990, and the war again.
I'm not going to show that account.
They built a 42-nation coalition. Nothing like that. In fact, I think many Americans, when they hear about this in the morning, when they wake up in a few hours' time,
IDF is beginning to call reserve forces, according to.
Posted on Truth Social about this attack on Iran. Alan Fisher in Washington. What is the president saying?
Yeah, well, I'm listening to it now, as you can probably hear. This has been on Truth Social just in the last couple of minutes. What he says is that an operation by the United States targeting...
Oh, is he giving a live stream right now?
At the end of the 8-minute message or so,
he
says that this is the time for the people in Iran to take control of their government, that they should move immediately and not let this opportunity...
Yeah, this dude took deaf to the IDF and
operation
reversed it. What a dummy.
Marine barracks bombing in Beirut.
He is bringing up history about the operation in
what a goofball.
A number of U.S. Marines were killed in Beirut. He's now saying that
involved with the attack on the
but yeah, I'm partially deaf myself.
He's also talking about the USS Cole, which often was attributed to Al-Qaeda. So Donald Trump is laying out the case for why he is involved in military operations against Iran.
They got to have posted that shit online.
Let me find it. This action. Clearly, he sees this as justified. There will be questions about why he didn't seek congressional approval before there was widespread military action. At this point, we don't know whether he even consulted with the so-called Group of Eight, which are 4 leaders from either side on Capitol Hill on the main committees, to let them know that this was happening. He has bypassed
8 minutes long,
suggesting that often there are leaks for this, but confirmation from Donald Trump that this is a sustained military operation that has now been launched in Iran. There was
it's me, Donald Trump, your favorite president.
Done from the language that Donald
very
Trump
much
is
alive
in this Truth Social post.
Decline all, dude.
That is
what the fuck is this shit, dude?
A long-term operation.
Is this website gonna work?
See now why there was such a concentrated military.
They're giving Trump all the uppers to be up this late. Yeah.
States to carry out an operation of this kind.
The message, the audio message you just played.
This shit's busted, man.
Is one from President Donald Trump, Alan, on Truth Social, an 8-minute audio message.
They're probably hacking my computer right now. That guy that was in the IDF posting in here is like
again to hear
hitting me with the fucking DDoS or something.
Interesting that he said that this was a U.S.-led operation, even though the initial attack was announced by...
It's a mini PC, bro. It barely fucking runs.
It's actually a video message. It was recorded in Mar-a-Lago, where he's spending the weekend. He's attending a dinner this evening for his MAGA.
Everything's locked up. Fuck.
He's talking a great deal about...
I'm going to go use the bathroom. I'll be right back.
The likes of Hamas, which may explain why we are seeing the attacks in southern Lebanon over the last couple of hours by the Israelis against what they describe as Hezbollah targets in that region. But Donald Trump saying that no other U.S. president has taken this sort of action against Iran. It was only him that did it. That, of course, is the split personality almost of Donald Trump, who boasts about solving somewhere in the region of 8 wars. Of Donald Trump, who boasts about solving somewhere in the region of 8 wars, but then has launched attacks against a number of countries. And this is the second time in, 6-7 months that he's launched an attack on Iran. And of course, he's making the point that this was an attack particularly to stop Iran getting a nuclear weapon. He's talking now about Midnight Hammer. I'm listening to this as I'm playing it out to you, obviously, and trying to decipher exactly what he's saying.
We'll let you listen to it.
He talked about Midnight Hammer.
Yeah, we'll let you go and listen to it and come back to you when you get more. In the meantime, we are showing our viewers here live pictures of the skies over Tel Aviv, and there's been an explosion in Tel Aviv in just the last few minutes. We saw just a few seconds ago on the right-hand side of the screen, if you can go.
I'm sorry, we saw what?
And there's been an explosion. Our viewers here live pictures of when you get
more.
In the meantime,
oh no!
Yeah, decipher. I'm listening to this as I'm playing it out in a nuclear.
Yo, what's that?
Targets in the group. He's talking a great deal about Iran's proxies, the likes of Hamas.
Tel Aviv.
Explain why we are seeing the attacks in southern Lebanon over the last couple of hours by the Israelis against what they describe as Hezbollah targets in that region. But Donald Trump saying that no other U.S. president has taken this sort of action against Iran. It was only him that did it. That, of course, is the split personality almost of Donald Trump, who boasts about solving somewhere in the region of 8 wars, but then has launched attacks against a number of countries. And this is the second time in, 6-7 months that he's launched an attack on Iran. And, of course, he's making the point that this was an attack particularly to stop
Is this shit gonna work or not, man? The fuck, dude? Alright, hold on. I gotta take a screenshot old school. Alright, then I'll save that. There we go.
The country. These are the professionals, people from the high-tech industry, professionals in the academics, yeah, you can hear more sirens in the streets, but it's kind of business as usual in Israel. A war in Israel at this time.
Explain the explosion, bro. Why was there a big cloud? What's going on? Somebody started up the barbecue pit?
People want war rather than settlement between Israel and Iran, as well as with the Palestinian. This leadership needs this war. We are deeply into election campaign, and in the next few weeks, maybe months until the elections that may take place as soon as June.
Right. Akiva, let me just ask you this, because we've heard now from President Trump in just the last few minutes, who's posted a video message on his Truth Social saying that the U.S. military has now begun major combat operations in Iran, suggesting that this is not going to be just a one-off attack.
Right, here's the Truth Social
perhaps
post.
A long-drawn conflict. Israel is already involved in Gaza, even if there's a ceasefire there, there's still effectively a war going on in Gaza.
The United States military
Is Israel prepared to
major
be fighting right now
operations.
on another
Is there a website to download
this? Prepared
Our objective is to defend the American people by eliminating imminent threats from the Iranian regime, a vicious group of very hard, terrible people. Its menacing activities directly endanger the United States, our troops, our bases overseas, and our allies throughout the world.
This website sucks, dude.
For 47 years.
Are you serious?
They were born into this situation. They know only Netanyahu and his public.
I'm just going to download the video and then re-upload it to Threads.
Diplomatic settlement between the U.S. and the Iranian was a nightmare for many people. This was the message that is coming from the highest echelons, including the Israeli military. Israel is Sparta, and in Sparta you get used to this. So we don't believe that there is an alternative. For Netanyahu to alter the discourse from the massacre in Gaza and the thousands of Israelis that were killed in this terrible, was another Saturday and holiday, for him, this is a gift, not talking about his trial, about corruption, about the exemption of the Orthodox youngsters from serving in the military.
Akiva, your sound is breaking up there, unfortunately. We're going to leave you for a few minutes. We'll come back to you, of course, and check in regularly with you there in Tel Aviv. U.S. President Donald Trump, in just the last few minutes, announcing and confirming that the United States has begun major combat operations in Iran. President Trump says they're doing this because Iran is developing long-range missiles that threaten the U.S. and others in the region. Let's listen to President Trump.
Anymore. So that's the IRGC, which also, as you know, especially the besieged element of the IRGC has been used to oppress the protesters. So those are the kinds of things that
that's them.
I would expect to see.
So they're watching Fox News or something.
The president will be looking at going after if the Iranians didn't negotiate.
Pro strikes.
I also don't think his objective would be an all-out.
Okay, apologies for that. We will.
They're watching IL News.
President Trump, which he posted on his Truth Social just a short while ago, confirming
it's amateur hour everywhere, bro.
Against Iran, President Trump.
They're watching ILTV.
Major combat operations. We've seen strikes on Iran in the last 2 hours or so, including on the capital, Tehran. Let's go to Mohammed Val, who's in the Iranian capital for us. Mohammed, bring us the latest from where you are. What is the situation? What's been targeted? And any information that you have on this would be appreciated.
Sorry, I will just adjust my position. Yes, we haven't been hearing much from the government side, but police has just issued a statement saying that although there is a major cyber attack on Iranian site, things are under control and they are managing the situation. So those explosions took place at 9:45 this morning, and there were 2 waves at least that we heard here in Tehran, with an interval of about 40 minutes in between. We don't know whether this is going to continue throughout the day, and probably we have just heard, since we have just heard from President Trump that it is going to be probably a.
Basically, we're waiting to see what Iran will do back. Yeah, I think so.
The targets are several. Some of them are in Tehran, including the Pastor district, which is where some of the strategic locations, their government sites are there, including the presidential palace. But we don't have any confirmation that anybody was hurt, particularly high-ranking officials. There are reports of people being evacuated, wounded people evacuated from the Pastor area. Also, the airport of Mehrabad, the second most important airport in Iran, which is here in Tehran, has been targeted. Several streets also were hit, and we have reports from Fars news agency about other cities, including Qom, which is not far from Tehran.
The United States military began
and also,
major combat
Isfahan in the center
operations
of the country.
in Iran. Our objective is to defend the American people by eliminating imminent threats from the Iranian regime, a vicious group of very hard, terrible people. Its menacing activities directly endanger the United States, our troops, our bases overseas, and our allies throughout the world. For 47 years, the Iranian regime has chanted death to America and waged an unending campaign of bloodshed and mass murder, targeting the United States, our troops, and the innocent people.
Yeah, I mean, well, they just did the double tap, right? So they said that there was a second wave of bombings on Tehran. So that was the double tap, I
Among the
assume.
regime's very first acts was to back a violent takeover of the U.S. Embassy in Tehran, holding dozens of American hostages for 444 days. In 1983, Iran's proxies carried out the Marine barracks bombing in Beirut that killed 241 American military personnel. In 2000, they knew and were probably involved with the attack on the USS Cole. Many died.
What?
Iranian forces killed and maimed hundreds.
He blamed the attack on the USS Cole on Iran?
Hundreds of American service members.
But dog, that was Al Qaeda, wasn't it?
In Iraq, the regime's proxies have continued to launch countless attacks against American forces stationed in the Middle East in recent years, as well as U.S. naval and commercial vessels and international shipping lanes. It's been mass terror, and we're not going to put up with it any longer. From Lebanon to Yemen and Syria to Iraq, the regime has armed, trained, and funded terrorist militias that have soaked the earth with blood and guts. And it was Iran's proxy, Hamas, that launched the monstrous October 7th attacks on Israel, slaughtering more than 1,000 innocent people, including 46 Americans, while taking 12 of our citizens.
Too late, Al Jazeera. I'm way ahead of you.
Brutal. Something like the world has never seen before.
Terror.
Iran is the world's #1 state sponsor of terror, and just recently killed tens of thousands of its own citizens on the street as they protested. It has always been the policy of the United States, in particular, my administration, that this terrorist regime can never have a nuclear weapon. I'll say it again. They can never have a nuclear weapon. That is why in Operation Midnight Hammer last June, we obliterated the regime's nuclear program at Fordow, Natanz, and Isfahan. After that attack, we warned them never to resume their malicious pursuit of nuclear weapons, and we sought repeatedly to make a deal.
He looks sick.
We tried.
Yeah.
They wanted to do it. They didn't want to do it. Again, they wanted to do it. They didn't want to do it. They didn't know what was happening. They just wanted to practice evil. But Iran refused, just as it has for decades and decades. They've rejected every opportunity to renounce their nuclear ambitions, and we can't take it anymore. Instead, they attempted to rebuild their nuclear program and to continue developing long-range missiles that can now threaten our very good friends and allies in Europe, our troops stationed overseas, and could soon reach the American homeland. Just imagine how emboldened this regime would be if they ever had and actually were armed with nuclear weapons as a means to deliver their message. For these reasons, the United States military is undertaking a massive and ongoing operation to prevent this very wicked, radical dictatorship from threatening America and our core national security interests. We are going to destroy their missiles and raise their missile industry to the ground. It will be totally, again, obliterated. We're going to annihilate their navy. We're going to ensure that
allies in Europe coming from the isolationists,
can no longer destabilize the region or the world. And
he's talking about future fascist movements.
Use their IEDs or roadside bombs, as they are sometimes called, to so gravely wound and kill thousands and thousands of people, including many Americans. And we will ensure that Iran does not obtain a nuclear weapon. It's a very simple message. They will never have a nuclear weapon. This regime will soon learn that no one should challenge. A short time ago, the United States military began major the earth with blood and guts.
Anyway, sorry about that.
It was Iran's proxy, Hamas, that launched the monstrous assassins on the street as they protested. It has always been the policy of the United States, in particular, my administration, that this terrorist regime can never have a nuclear weapon. I'll say it again. They can never have a nuclear weapon. That is why in Operation Midnight Hammer last June, we obliterated the regime's nuclear program at Fordow, Natanz, and Isfahan. After that attack, we warned them never to resume their malicious pursuit of nuclear weapons, and we sought repeatedly to make a deal. We tried. They wanted to do it. They didn't want to do it. Again, they wanted to do it. They didn't want to do it. They didn't know what was happening. They just wanted to practice evil. But Iran refused, just as it has for decades and decades. They've rejected every opportunity to renounce their nuclear ambitions, and we can't take it anymore.
We can't take it anymore. So we just have to bomb them.
Nuclear program and to continue developing long-range missiles that can now threaten our
That's ridiculous,
very good
bro.
friends and allies in Europe, our troops stationed overseas, and could soon reach the American homeland. Just imagine how emboldened this regime would be if they ever had and actually were armed with nuclear weapons as a means to deliver their message. For these reasons, the United States military is undertaking a massive and ongoing operation to prevent this very wicked, radical dictatorship from threatening America and our core national.
Open the
a
wrong
short time
video.
ago. These reasons, we're going to annihilate their navy. We're going to ensure that the region's terrorist proxies can no longer destabilize the region or the world and attack.
We're going to annihilate their navy? Is that what he just said?
We're going to annihilate their navy. We're going to ensure that the region's terrorist proxies can no longer destabilize the
This is a war on Iran and its proxies.
Region or the world and attack our forces and no longer.
So we're going to start bombing Yemen. We're going to start bombing Lebanon. Lebanon earlier was just the beginning.
So gravely wound and kill thousands and thousands of people, including many Americans. And we will ensure
Greater
that
Israel,
Iran does not obtain a nuclear weapon. It's a very simple message. They will never have a nuclear weapon. This regime will soon learn that no one should challenge the strength and might of the United States Armed Forces. I built and rebuilt our military in my first administration, and there is no military on earth even close to its power, strength, or sophistication. My administration has taken every possible step to minimize the risk to U.S. personnel in the region. Even so, and I do not make this statement lightly, the Iranian regime seeks to kill. The lives of courageous American heroes may be lost, and we may have casualties.
Yeah, I'm sorry if this looks like ass.
But we're doing
that's
this
just the way Trump
not for
looks.
now. We're doing this for the future, and it is a noble mission. We pray for every service member as they selflessly risk their lives to ensure that Americans and our children will never be threatened by a nuclear-armed Iran. We ask God to protect all of our heroes.
Some of you may die, but that's a sacrifice I'm willing to make.
The men and women of the armed forces will prevail. We have the greatest in the world, and they will prevail. To the members of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard, the armed forces, and all of the police, I say tonight that you must lay down your weapons and have complete immunity, or, in the alternative, face certain death. So, lay down your arms. You will be treated fairly with total immunity, or you will face certain
You'll be treated with total immunity while Israel fucking bombs you from the sky, bro.
To the great proud
yeah,
people
press
of Iran,
X to doubt,
I
chat.
say tonight that the hour of your freedom is at hand. Stay sheltered. Don't leave your home. It's very dangerous outside. Bombs will be dropping everywhere. When we are finished, take over your government. It will be yours to take. This will be probably your only chance for generations. For many years, you have asked for America's help, but you never got it. No president was willing to do what I am willing to do tonight. Now you have a president who is giving you what you want. So let's see how you respond. America is backing you with overwhelming strength and devastating force. Now is the time to seize control of your destiny and to unleash the prosperous and glorious future that is close within your reach. This is the moment for action. Do not let it pass. May God bless the brave men and women of America's armed forces. May God bless the United States of America. May God bless you all. Thank you.
This is insane, man. This is fucking crazy, dude. It will be yours to take, yeah. We'll bring in Karina Machado to be your new king.
Certain death. So this is clearly not just a one and done operation. Is what everyone was concerned about for a number of months with the huge US military buildup in the Gulf. This is about regime change in Iran. There will be those close to Donald Trump, like Lindsey Graham, who will be delighted about this, who's been pushing for it for years. But there'll be many who will be
They're showing Washington, D.C.
Donald Trump has effectively launched a war in Iran without seeking congressional approval. We don't even know if he's informed Congress that this was going to take place.
Would be wild.
This was
Would be
Donald Trump
wild.
saying, we have tolerated what Iran has done over a number of years and now no more. Interestingly, coming as they were negotiating with Iran about their nuclear program, and the Omani negotiator appeared on American television just a few hours ago to say that the Iranians had agreed that they would no longer process enough material to build a nuclear bomb, that was a significant concession on their part, that they were moving towards an agreement. They had the heart of an agreement. Donald Trump said he wasn't pleased with the Iranians, but he hadn't made a decision. That was just a few hours ago as well. Clearly the decision was made, and the United States has decided to launch a war on Iran.
Alan, just briefly, how long do we expect this operation to last?
Of course, we have no idea of telling that. We have no idea what the targets are. We know that the United States will have significant intelligence from Iran. We know that they're working hand in hand with the Israelis. What they will be preparing for now is the backlash. We already saw that with the evacuation of some embassies around the region when non-essential staff were told that they should leave, and they should leave now. That suggests that perhaps, as Donald Trump was saying, he hadn't made a decision. The wind was moving in the direction of an attack. Of course, there'll be allies in the region who'll be concerned, particularly about the idea of regime change. We remember, if you go back to the original Iranian Revolution in the 70s, there was a real possibility for a short period of time after Ayatollah Khomeini returned to the country that people described as radical Islamists may well take over the country. They were eventually defeated. but there is no guarantee there is a clear path for whoever may take over the Iranian government now. It throws up all sorts of levels of uncertainty, something Donald Trump has criticised others for, particularly when it came to the war in Iraq, and it appears he's now walking into a similar situation himself.
Okay, Alan, thank you very much. Alan Fisher, our chief U.S. correspondent in Washington there. It's just past 8 GMT. If you're just joining us on Al Jazeera, extensive coverage of the U.S. and Israel attacking Iran continues. In just the last few minutes, U.S. President Donald Trump has confirmed that the U.S. has begun major combat operations in Iran. He says the objective is to defend the American people by eliminating what he calls imminent threats from the Iranian regime. The attacks on Iran began on the capital, Tehran, but we understand that they're now also taking place in cities across the nation. Iranian airspace has been shut and mobile services have been cut. An Iranian official has said that the country will retaliate and that the response, quote, will be crushing. Now, aside from Tehran, as I've said, there have been attacks in several other cities, including the holy city of Qom, Karaj near the capital Tehran, Isfahan also in central Iran, Tabriz in the northwest, and Kermanshah and Ilam both in the west towards the border with Iraq. Well, we have a team of correspondents in Washington, D.C., in Jordan's capital, Amman, in Geneva, where the U.S.-Iran talks recently took place, in Ramallah as well. We also have analysts and correspondents in Iranian capital. Let's start with here our guests in the studio, Ali Hashim, who's covered Iran extensively, and Mohanad Seloum from the Doha Institute of Graduate Studies. Ali, first of all, let me come to you because I know you're talking to your contacts in Tehran. What are they telling you about the whereabouts of the Iranian leadership?
Well, just talking to a close aide to the Iranian president right now, he told us that the president wasn't harmed by the first wave of attacks. Now,
that is President Masoud Pezeshkian.
President Masoud Pezeshkian.
President's
now,
alive.
With respect to the Supreme Leader, Ayatollah Khamenei, there's no information about his whereabouts, but since, after the attack, there were reports in Tehran that he wasn't there, he wasn't in the complex. And given the fact this is a deja vu moment.
I won't believe anything until I see him, I guess.
It would be very unlikely that these officials, especially that high, will be in expected areas in their premises or in their headquarters. So for now, what we know is that the president isn't harmed. The Supreme Leader probably wasn't in the complex. But this attack, it's clear, it was mainly aimed at decapitating.
Right, because of the targets, right? The targets in the Iranian capital included official buildings.
Yeah, I mean, when they're hitting Pastor is where the presidency is, it's where the Supreme National Council is, it's close to the assembly, the experts' assembly.
Yeah, apparently Ayatollah is alive, that's what Reuters is reporting.
From there, the house of the Supreme Leader, and hitting towards the east, there's the IRGC command. So it's clear that these are kind of clear attacks on the heads, on the command and control. How much this was successful, wasn't it successful?
It's too early to tell.
Yeah, it's too early to tell.
Mohanad Seloum, let me come to you. What did you make of what we heard from President Trump confirming this major operation, saying that the objective is to destroy Iran's missiles and raise their missile industry to the ground, but interestingly also telling Iranians in that statement that the hour of your freedom is at hand. When we're finished, take over your government. A message to the Iranian people as well.
Well, this is a regime change war. This is not about missiles. This is not about the nuclear system anymore. Well, the message coming from
all it's ever been about.
We are going to change the regime. And talking about the types of targets, I mean, for a security analyst, for a security scholar like me, I don't think Pezeshkian or any senior official would be in these buildings.
Did he really think it was going to be just as easy as, waltzing into Venezuela and kidnapping the president?
So what they're doing, basically, this is symbolic. This is a message to the Iranian people that if you like, these buildings, the places where these people were ruling you, we have destroyed them. We have targeted them, and they are running. They're on the run. So it's your time to take over these places and rule your country. this is one side of the story.
But the Iranian leadership would have prepared for such a scenario. As Ali said, they would have had a plan B, a plan C, a plan D even for such a situation.
Definitely.
Would they have not?
So that is one side of the story. I was about to say the other side of the story is the Iranian regime.
Right.
Obviously, they have a plan for this. They knew what is coming. And also, they have learned so many lessons from what happened in Iraq. And so what they are going to do is basically have a first line of command, second line of command, third line of command. But if we are here in the studio talking about this, obviously the U.S. has thought this through as well. So what is going on here is the U.S. is attacking Iran with a plan that has been in a preparation for months. They have the capabilities, they have the almost complete control of the skies. They have the satellites, the technology, everything. And as we hear that Iran is under cyber attack, maybe it's something else, maybe something bigger that they have used.
Well, the attacks that we understand came from both the air and the sea.
Yes, and also ballistic missiles coming from Israel. So it's not only air and sea, also ballistic missiles coming from Israel, because I saw footage of these missiles crossing over Syria, and they were videoed by people, just bystanders. So what we are looking here is Iran.
IRGC leadership warning that Tehran's response to the strikes will be strong and decisive.
Ali, on President Trump's message specifically to the Iranian
people, the operation in Iran was prepared over months. The timing was set in coordination with the U.S.
How will they
according
receive
to
that
Israel
message, Iranian people? Of course, many of them, as we saw in the last month or so, came out on the streets to protest against their government and their government's policies. But will they welcome this U.S. intervention?
Well, there are two messages I heard in President Trump's speech. One towards the armed forces, calling on them to lay the arms, and they will be immune. And the other one is towards the people. Now, given the experience of the last war, the June war, and of course there are different contexts for this and that, these are 92 million people. Of course there are some people who are happy with this. And of course there are some people who are ready to defend the system.
But we're doing this not for now, we're doing this for the future. And it is a noble mission.
Yeah, this one.
For every service member as they selflessly risk their lives to ensure that Americans and our children will never be threatened by a nuclear-armed Iran. The lives of courageous American heroes may be lost, and we may have casualties. That often happens in war. But we're doing this not for now.
Who up dying for Israel, bro?
It is a noble mission. We pray for every service member as they selflessly risk their lives to ensure that Americans and our children will never be threatened by a nuclear.
In parallel with what's happening from the sky? This is the question.
Indeed. Let's check in with Mohammed Vala, correspondent who's on the ground in Tehran for us. Mohammed, bring us up to speed with the situation there. What is the latest you're hearing and seeing with these attacks on Iran?
Yes, fully. Just a while ago, we have been speculating about whether this is a one-off for now and waiting for the reaction from Iran and so on. But just a few minutes ago, we have reports talking about a new explosion or new sounds of explosions in the city of Dizvul. Dizvul is in the southwest of Iran. We have that's almost confirmed that these attacks are continuous throughout the day. We have talked a bit earlier about Kermanshah in the west, about Qum near Tehran to the south of it, about Isfahan to the center. Not clear what targets are specifically meant to be destroyed there, but the Israelis talking about, several targets, and the Americans also talking about a sustained campaign to now clearly remove the missile capabilities of Iran. That's going to take a lot of time. Iran has probably thousands of those missiles scattered across the country, hidden in many areas. So it's clearly going to take a lot of time to take them out. We have also reports that some of the schools in Tehran have been closed for the moment. There has been a cyber attack on the news agency, the main news agency, Tasnim, and now it is back on air. But also, mostly speaking, we don't have.
Looks like
so that's a major situation in Tehran.
They're firing towards Israel.
Yeah, I appreciate Mohammed.
They're firing towards Israel
because of the internet connection and so on. We are hearing reports that Iran has begun launching missiles towards Israel. Is that something you're able to confirm to us?
No, not so far. We can't confirm that because until now, as I said earlier, there is no official report from the Iranian government. We have semi-official sources like Irene, like IRNA, and so on. They are talking about what is going on, and Iran has always, during the last few days, promised vehemently that it is going to react to any attack on its territory. So it's not impossible, it's not improbable or illogical that they are doing that, but we don't have any confirmation of those attacks.
Channel 12 News just confirmed it, bro. Come on, man. You don't have access to the internet or what?
Is safe and in good health, and also that Khamenei, the supreme leader of the revolution, has been moved to a safer location before these attacks. So he's not in Tehran, and he's also safe and in good health.
And what about the Iranian people, Mohammed? Earlier you told us there was a bit of panic and chaos on the streets. Are people sheltering in place? How worried are they about what might happen next?
I think it's too early to talk about that. We can only talk about the traffic jams, and it seems that really there is a heavy traffic jam, unusual.
Large missile attack on northern Israel.
Locations where they can be safer. We don't have details about whether some shelters have been prepared for people. It's a multi-million residents city. It's very difficult to, arrange that. It's going to take time. But the reports we hear from unofficial sources, semi-official sources, is that the government here, the authorities, are taking all precaution measures and also are preparing for a major reaction to what happened this morning.
Okay. Mohammed, thank you for now. I'll be back with you in just a few minutes. Let's go to Noor O'Day in Ramallah in the occupied West Bank. Noor, what more can you tell us about these reports of missiles being launched towards Israel?
Well, the Israeli army fully has issued a warning. The Home Front Command has issued also warnings and sirens telling residents of the Galilee and the Upper Galilee that missiles from Iran have been sighted and that they are headed towards Israel. Several warnings and messages have been received on people's phones. I can tell you right now, receiving in Hakarmi, in Margiliot, in areas in northern Israel, and these are the same areas.
I'm posting it, bro. I'm posting through it.
Attacking.
Yeah, True Promise 4 has begun.
In June of 2025, right before those sirens went off and those warnings came
Upper Galilee
citizens, we also saw the Israeli military censor.
They're going to take out what do you call it? What's the town there?
Report about the restrictions that are imposed on reporting from inside Israel, which include
any
reporting on sites of impact, on movement of troops, on visual material shared with the public in Israel, or
they're going to take out missile defense in this area and then have Hezbollah attack. That's my guess. That's my assumption. My analysis here. If you were to say, if I was a military
so we are already seeing the
person.
first signs of anticipation of Iranian attacks.
That should land within minutes. If they're hypersonics,
to those first strikes that Israel launched along with the United States against Iran.
And we're looking at the latest pictures coming.
I'm looking at Tel Aviv right now. Tel Aviv, I'm looking at you.
Iranian fighter jets flying over Tehran. Nor, as you said, the Israeli military saying that its defensive systems are now operating to intercept any threats from Iran. Just remind us of what's happened in Israel, because it was the Israelis first, of course, who announced this.
Yeah, IDF confirms launches towards Israel from Iran have been identified.
Confirmed an operation was underway.
U.S. is planning a multi-day operation against Iran. It's fucking on, bro. This is not small. This is not small.
What it claims
this is not small time.
Strikes against Iran, and let's put that in context. For weeks now, as the region and regional players were trying to convince
a barrage of missiles have been launched from Iran towards Israel.
not war, was the way forward with Iran, that Iran was amenable to a deal, that it was willing to discuss all issues with the United States, and that it had no intention of launching strikes against U.S. assets or other countries in the region. Benjamin Netanyahu and the Israeli government have been pushing for just this.
Yeah, apparently it's just dozens of missiles that are going towards Israel.
To Iran, not
hundreds
to take their
yet.
offer seriously, not to believe that they were willing to cooperate. And there was a list of
U.S. embassies in Bahrain and Qatar have issued shelter-in-place warnings.
Prime Minister advanced to Donald Trump in a visit on the 11th of February that was not scheduled. In fact, it was a week before a previously scheduled visit. And in
Operation End the Storm is what Iran is calling it.
Israeli red lines were discussed, including that Iran would have to give up its ballistic missile program, limit the scope of its reach, of the reach of those missiles to basically within range of Iranian territory. This is something that the Iranian government was not willing to discuss yet. They were focused on the Iranian nuclear capabilities, insisting that Iran had no interest, no plan to develop nuclear weapons. Of course, Israel itself being a nuclear power and refusing any kind of international oversight. All of those discussions, of course, have not borne fruit. They have not yielded an agreement, and we are now in a state of war.
And Noor, we're now also hearing air raid sirens in Jordan, in Amman. Rory Challenge is there for us. Rory, what's happening where you are?
Well, in the last few minutes, we have heard the sound of sirens going off in the city of Amman, and I've also been listening to the sound of jets up in the sky as well. And we've just had a statement from the Jordanian Armed Forces, which is saying that the sounds that I have just heard in the skies over several areas of the kingdom are from aircraft belonging to the Royal Jordanian Air Force, carrying out what they call routine aerial sorties as part of their operational duties. Now, they said that these flights are being conducted within the framework of reconnaissance and aerial inspection operations. But, of course, with the news breaking that Iran has, in the last few minutes, been launching missiles against Israel, the sounds that I've been hearing in the sky are very likely to be
in Amman. He's in Amman. Well. He should see them coming overhead soon.
Iranians over the last few weeks have been putting out a pretty serious pressure campaign against regional governments, or targeted at regional governments, Jordan being one of them, essentially saying to those countries, if you are going to play any part in any attack against Iran, expect targets.
I mean, Ali has to be awake, right?
To be attacked by us. Now, they are saying that these are going to be targets that are hosting U.S. military facilities. And of course, Jordan has a big one of those. It has a big air base about 100 kilometers east of the capital, Amman, called Mawafik Salti Air Base. In recent days, some 60 to 70 U.S. fighter planes,
propagandist India Naftali, looks like we'll be seeing a free Iran soon.
Satellite images showing plenty of U.S. planes
on
the airstrips there.
Jordan,
so that's one of the targets that Iran has said could be
the one hit yet.
Attack.
Right, and Jordan, Rory, in a very difficult position because it is a U.S. ally, of course, but it also doesn't want any missiles to be launched from its territory towards, what the U.S. perceives as enemies in the region.
Yes, absolutely, and Jordan is one of these
more explosions in Isfahan.
It's in quite a tight spot at the moment.
Haifa, Haifa is what's going to get fucking obliterated, bro.
Domestic feelings by
please pray for Iran, because if they fall, world socialism will be delayed another 100 years, in my opinion.
Country, but it does have, as I just mentioned, U.S. infrastructure here.
I mean, anything is possible right now.
Many countries around the region of the Gulf and the Middle East, including Qatar, including Saudi Arabia, etc. Many of these countries
can only be right so many times,
have said we will not assist the United States. We will not assist Israel.
Hey, thank you for coming into the stream. We appreciate you here. Count created 2 minutes ago.
Iran,
very nice.
To basically say, please don't attack us if there is any attack that takes place. But of course, for Jordan, if missiles from Iran start coming over Jordanian airspace, then it will most likely launch planes to try and shoot those down.
And you could link this, this effort by the Trump administration
air defense
to, you use the strong arm of imperialism around the world to strangle socialist movements, not just worldwide, but also at home here in the United States, where it looks like we're going to be voting for more and more, at least democratic socialists
over the skies of Jordan.
All right, Rory, thank you for now. We'll Ambassador to Israel has issued a statement praising the attacks on Iran. In a post on X, Mike Huckabee wrote,
"Oh my God!"
of the United States for strong American leadership to stop the killing and threats to Americans for the past 47 years.
Does Iran have the location?
He gave them many chances to do it peacefully, and they said no. Even as I sit in the bullseye of it, I am grateful for a strong president and a strong America.
They're calling Iran's operation End the Storm, which should land in Tel Aviv sometime soon. Haifa, sorry.
That's not true. And he said that Iran could never have a nuclear weapon. Well, Iran says they've never.
We're watching Haifa. We should be watching. We're watching Tel Aviv. We should be watching Haifa.
Right to enrichment, and we have this new information coming from the Omani foreign minister.
It's not very far away.
It's only the broker of the recent talks, the facilitator of the most recent talks that took place in Geneva and all the previous rounds. And he's saying there was a big breakthrough in the last few hours, and that is that Iran had agreed not to keep a stockpile of enriched uranium that could potentially be used for a bomb. So, I mean, I think those sort of arguments coming as you see this attack launched by the United States, I think it'll raise all sorts of questions. I think the American people have not been prepared.
They told CBS a breakthrough deal could be reached tomorrow, but warned that military action would derail it. So they derailed it on purpose.
I mean, would they have sent out this armada, as President Trump called it, without doing anything?
But there weren't the debates on Capitol Hill that there were when there was previously a very big war, and the equivalent, the last time there was anything that big was 2003, and that's when the Americans, as you know, invaded Afghanistan in 2001, and literally from the moment they did that, they were preparing for over a year the public for a war. There has been no preparation for this. Yes, those of us that watch Al Jazeera, our viewers, will be aware of that big build-up. You watch American TV, lots of the American public will not be aware of this. On Capitol Hill, many will say this is illegal because Congress is supposed to authorize...
Netanyahu announces the goal of the U.S.-Israeli offensive is to topple the Iranian regime.
Security Council resolution to do something like
they failed at that so far.
They don't have that. And Israel saying it's a preemptive action. I mean, there was no imminent attack coming from Iran.
So the case for war the Americans and the Israelis make is not a very convincing one. Did they even need to convince anyone of this? It seemed that they had their minds made up about going after
They absolutely had their minds up, and President Trump's narrative, which I'm sure people who watch his Truth Social and people in his MAGA base will agree with, but Iran refused the negotiations. No, Iran was involved actively in the negotiations. Just a few hours ago, you listened to the Omani foreign minister, they had new technical talks on Monday, just a few hours away, and full talks coming up in a week's time. So the process was underway, and this is the second time it has happened like that. You'll remember that last time in June, there was active diplomacy going on, and I think there'll be some questioning whether really you can treat the US when it's doing diplomacy as a good faith actor anymore.
Right. We've just had a statement from Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, James. Netanyahu made an address to the nation saying, well, it's a statement, in fact, saying Israel and the US launched an operation to remove the existential threat posed by the terror regime in Iran. Our joint action will create the conditions for the brave Iranian people to take their fate into their own hands, he says, in the coming days.
Just an hour ago.
Roar of the Lion, that's what this operation is being labeled. He says we'll be able we'll all be required to show patience and resilience.
Israeli operation
Ali
called
Hashem,
the Lion's Roar.
What do we to make of this? The case for war made by President Trump, this statement from the Israeli Prime Minister. How will the Iranians be receiving this?
Well, actually, we've been hearing from different officials in the United States with respect to.
That's weird, because you call it the Lion's Roar, and then they call it End the Storm. It really sounds like one side is being offensive and the other side is being defensive.
Building a new nuclear weapon or elements of
which
nuclear weapon.
Which is it contradicts what they said back in
June.
After June, where they said they'd obliterated. Those were his words. Iran's
completely obliterated.
Claims that Iran can.
That's me after 10 beers.
Launch missiles towards Europe and the United States, and we know that the cap of the Iranian missiles is 2,000 kilometers. So, I mean, a lot of claims. It's kind of building a narrative. This narrative was built, and yesterday we were just discussing this now. When the Omani foreign minister went to television, it was clear that he was desperate. He knew that this is coming, and he was trying his last bullet maybe, and it didn't work.
Yeah, now, the Omanis are usually very discreet in diplomacy. For the foreign minister to go on American television,
that was a public plea.
Yeah, James.
I think the other thing that's interesting in that statement from Netanyahu is again an appeal to the Iranian people, and you heard that from President Trump. Now is the time to seize control of your destiny. Do not let it pass.
Yeah.
They clearly think there is a phase 2 to this operation that's going to happen organically from the ground in Tehran and cities around Iran. But are Iranians going to rise up after?
So the strategy, it's almost as if the strategy is hope. They're pinning their hopes also a lot on the Iranian people.
And building on the momentum of the last protests.
Is that momentum still there?
Well, there are new demonstrations and protests that started at the universities, but when there is a war, things will differ. There is a...
Let's see what the Israelis are saying. Are they live? They're not live. What? They're usually live. What the hell? Right? Al Jazeera, that's it. ILTV, maybe?
To be a bit provocative here, how can they bring down the system, as you say, without help from outside?
Well, the idea is that this is how things. This is the debate, and this is how debate has been going on in Iran for years. That a national, or let me say, a patriotic opposition inside can pose.
Erez and Vered invested their wedding money into vineyards and olive groves.
You're bombing a fucking country right now. What are you doing?
Blessed by Israel also removes distance. Products are shipped in bulk to a U.S. warehouse, meaning American customers receive items within days, not weeks.
Are you serious?
The money, however, goes straight back to the families in Israel. For the Werb family, this is part of a broader stand against anti-Semitism and indifference. Silence, they say.
Nothing. Do you have Channel 14 on here? Get it together, guys. Come on.
A kind of threat to the system.
An operation like this, a mission like this would require the UN Security Council's approval. Where will this leave the United Nations, which is already embattled? I mean, the US has completely undermined the United Nations.
And sidelined it with President Trump and his board of peace. Yes, the UN will speak out against this, I'm sure, and the General Assembly, the majority of the countries will speak out against this. Of course, there won't be any action in the UN Security Council because there you have...
17 hours ago? Are you serious?
There you have the US with its veto power, which will stop any Security Council resolution to condemn this. It is, I think this is the other thing to state, this is a very bold action by President Trump. If he's launching this long-sustained campaign, which seems to be what he's saying in his social media post. And
20 hours ago? Bro, come on, man.
President Trump in many ways
amateur
has
hour
been a very
in Israel,
lucky president. And he's been a very lucky president when it comes to military action. You look at what happened last year in June. It was he joined the Israelis, and it was a short operation to take out the nuclear program. It had a clear objective. I'm not sure they do have a clear objective here. And the word that comes to mind potentially is hubris. Is this going to be the military operation that doesn't go the way that Donald Trump wants? Because you're dealing with a very combustible situation in the Middle East, and you're dealing with a nation of more than 90 million people.
It is coming up to 8:30 GMT. If you're just joining us on Al Jazeera, we are covering a continuing coverage of the U.S. and Israel's attack on Iran. U.S. President Donald Trump has announced this operation against Iran. He's called it a major combat operation and warned that there will be likely American casualties. He's also called on Iran's Revolutionary Guard to lay down its arms or face certain death. Let's listen to President Trump.
The United States military began major combat operations in Iran. Our objective is to defend the American people by eliminating imminent threats from the Iranian regime, a vicious group of very hard, terrible people. Its menacing activities directly endanger the United States, our troops, our bases overseas, and our allies throughout the world. For 47 years, the Iranian regime has chanted death to America and waged an unending campaign of bloodshed and mass murder, targeting the United States, our troops, and the innocent people in many, many countries. Among the regime's very first acts was to back a violent takeover of the U.S. Embassy in Tehran, holding dozens of American hostages for 444 days. In 1983, Iran's proxies carried out the Marine barracks bombing in Beirut that killed 241 American military personnel. In 2000, 240 carried out in 44 days. In 1983, Iran's proxies carried out the Marine barracks bombing in Beirut that killed 241 American military personnel.
That was credit to Hezbollah, actually.
And were probably involved with the attack. Stationed in the Middle East in
they were probably involved with the attack.
As well as U.S. naval and commercial vessels and international shipping lanes.
Seems like the initial strikes that Iran launched did not land in Tel Aviv.
Let's bring in our chief U.S. correspondent, Alan Fisher.
But they were supposed to be landing in Haifa.
Totally
Totally not the CIA, exactly.
Clearly seems to be regime change in Iran.
That's right. He's essentially setting the table for what he believes will be a popular uprising in Iran. You'll remember that during the protests earlier this year and late last year, he said the United States has got your back.
New siren alerts for northern areas of Haifa amid incoming ballistic missiles from Iran.
These plans
They're launching, bro. They're launching.
For some considerable time. Donald Trump had been against the idea of wars in the Middle East. Remember, during the election campaign, he made the point that if you elect Kamala Harris, you're going to get these people, as he referred to them, sending your children into wars that they don't want to fight themselves. If you vote for Kamala, you'll get World War III.
Oh, shit. And, okay, yeah, one did hit in Israel.
For me, you will get peace. He campaigned on the idea of no stupid foreign wars. So he's got to try and convince his
allegedly direct hit
that this is a good idea. He's already laying the groundwork for the potential that there could be U.S. casualties. He said during his video address that this was potential. This is war. This sort of thing can happen.
This looks new. I have not seen this video before. I am not a total expert.
This isn't like Midnight Hammer, as James was talking, essentially going in over a short period of time and doing what they had to do. The other big difference, of course, is that Donald Trump has been saying for some time that the United States obliterated Iran's nuclear weapons. He said in June that it would take them years to rebuild. And here we are him saying one of the ideas behind this attack was to stop them getting a nuclear weapon. That was a lie. It's clear it's not about that. It is absolutely about regime change, and he's urging the people of Iran, after the bombing is done, to rise up and overthrow the current government in Tehran.
How long does he anticipate this operation to last? Did he say? Did he indicate that in his address?
Of course, they will have plans laid out for how long this is going to take, and they'll have wargamed this. And among the things that they would have factored in would be a response from Iran. How will they respond? And the thing to remember is that while the Abraham Lincoln, which is an aircraft carrier, is off the Iranian coast, it will bear the brunt of most of the attacks into Iran. The Gerald R. Ford, the most expensive aircraft carrier in the world, it costs $13 billion.
Extreme alert, incoming missiles into Tel Aviv or
which then hits the Gerald R.
the
Ford
northern Israel area.
Americans. That then gives Donald Trump and his team at the White House essentially a free hand to do what they want with dealing with Iran, because they can say they are responding to what was a military operation.
U.S. operation called Epic
US
Fury.
troops. So this has got many twists and turns to go before we see what the final picture is. But it's clear that Donald Trump...
We got Epic Fury, we got Lions Roar, and End the Storm. Everyone is 12.
Decision at that point, and he was being urged by others like Lindsey Graham to push on with the idea of regime change in Iran.
Now, in the last few minutes, there have been more explosions in the Iranian capital, Tehran, and we're also hearing now that Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, has not been hurt in any attack. He's been taken to an undisclosed location. Ali Hashim, you've covered Iran extensively. What are your sources telling you about
I'm sorry. In Israel, they're saying Department of Defense operation named Mighty Wrath.
This is one.
In what areas specifically?
I guess that's how it translates.
Explosions had. I think in the coming minutes we'll know where. Also, the air defenses for the first time are dealing with the...
Iran experiencing a total internet blackout.
The capabilities of Iranian air defenses are...
Connectivity reduced to less than 4%.
They are now saying that they are dealing with targets in the skies.
The U.S. fucked up by not attacking earlier.
The Supreme Leader, according to reports, has been taken to different...
We gave them too much time to be prepared for this.
You know that June 2025 war on Iran by Israel gave the Iranians a lot of...
We didn't kill the Ayatollah.
They were able to apply here how to be ready not to be...
Israel lost its Mossad agents and MEK agents several times over.
Commanders of the joint military staff.
It's not a good idea.
They were all killed.
This is not going to go well.
Several nuclear
I don't think this is going to go well.
Till the moment, we don't know of any prominent person who has been killed. The last time, in just few hours, everything was clear about those who were killed. So for now, what we are seeing from the Israeli-American side is an attack on different areas in Iran, from Tabriz in the northwest towards Chabahar in the southeast, but also now, and in just few hours after the Israeli-American attack, we're seeing
the Iranian president's still alive. Ayatollah's still alive. You don't understand Trump's doing 5D chess.
We saw an explosion in Tel Aviv. What do you
we're running it
the Iranian response to be?
Back to front, not front to back.
I got you. Response? I mean, what sort of, they must have been making
Uno reverso strategy.
How do you expect
the upside down operation? The upside down,
I think
if you will.
It's clear that they are going to
Operation Stranger Things, the upside down.
And at the same time, now we're just hearing from
the Houthis still cool, guys?
That they are activated to be part of this war. So we need to see how the Iranians are going to activate several layers in their defensive mechanism. Besides, this is not going to be a vertical war. It's going to be a horizontal war, just in case these different elements are being activated.
Yeah. So we heard again from Prime Minister Netanyahu of Israel a short while ago. Here's what he said.
All pyrotechnics for show and no lasting damage. I do agree. Whatever we hit, it was ineffective.
بنيامين نتنياهو رئيس الوزراء الإسرائيلي الذي يقول يجب أن لا يتسلح النظام الإيراني الإرهابي كما يقول بأسلحة نووية.
This is the video I was looking for. I was hoping that ILTV or somebody posted it.
ويقول بنيامين نتنياهو أيضا بأنه لن يسمح
Translation hasn't started yet.
النووي ويجب أن لا يتسلح النظام الإيراني.
Emotionally, we're not
fucking podcast. Are you fucking kidding me? Oh my God, John Bolton's on there?
Commanders in the regular military, not the Revolutionary Guard, but the regular military,
are people who could be
I was wondering where this guy was.
The opposition, and I think even within the Revolutionary Guard, if enough of them begin to
this is
understand
all.
that this regime
This
is
is not even
fall,
live.
it's amazing. I think.
Fuck off, man. Fucking bullshit ass fucking channel.
They would have been preparing for that in Tehran about this objective. What steps are they likely to take?
Well, it's clear that this is the American-Israeli objective. Now, this is, in a way, very difficult. It's a very high stake for.
I need news, and I need it right now.
And the Israelis, and at the same time, it gives the Iranian establishment, in case this regime was able to stay, the establishment was able to preserve itself and end this war while they are there, then the mission has failed. However, what are the Iranians doing in order to combat this situation? Absolutely, they are deriving conclusions from the last war. Absolutely, they have several contingency plans, and this is what they've been saying.
What do you see as the difference between this campaign and the previous one, the one in June 2024?
Here's Iran International English from London, bruv.
And the last one was an Israeli
breaking
war.
Who's editing this shit?
Yeah, absolutely. But at the end, this
breaking
is
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu called
was just Israeli.
Iranians.
Also, it was limited to some areas. They
Iranians ethnic groups. That's not one word, right? That's two words.
Now we're
seeing they're striking government targets.
To cast off what he described as the yoke of tyranny.
The American capabilities
and bring freedom to Iran.
This is the difference here. However,
the time has come for all parts of the Iranian people, the Persians, Kurds, Azeris, Balak, and Awazis,
and how many days will it take, or how many weeks
to cast off the yoke of tyranny and bring freedom and peace-loving values to Iran.
Been covering Iran, we're not really capable of really catching
zooming out and seeing what happens.
All right, bro.
All right, gentlemen, I have now the translated Prime Minister Netanyahu soundbite. Let's listen to what he said.
الرئيس بسلامة كاملة لم يصف في هذا الهجوم.
سنعود إليك لنستمع الآن إلى بنيامين رئيس الوزراء الإسرائيلي.
We will listen to what the Israeli Prime Minister who says that
bro, just buy the fucking AI translate software, all right? Just fucking buy it. Just fucking pay for the subscription, all right? You're a professional news network. You can do that.
Humanity. Israel cannot be allowed to possess the nuclear power. The terrorist Iranian regime cannot pose a threat to the entire humanity. This
people are gonna die.
Is the statement by the Israeli Prime Minister.
But like, inevitable? Like, yeah, people are gonna die.
Israel, together with the United States,
I appreciate my followers so much,
have started
like
a joint operation, Operation Lion's Roar, which aims at eliminating Iran's existential threat to
who
our
have died
nation.
for Israel, though?
The oppressive regime of Iran poses a threat to us, and they always chant death to Israel and death to the United States. To the Iranian people we say, you must remove this regime.
Why?
The aim of this
joint
operation is to eliminate the existential threat by Iran, as the Iranian regime has channeled all the country's resources to wipe off Israel from the map and then target the United States. Thousands of Iranians
they did hit the
have
Galilee.
taken to the streets. Now Israel and the United States are calling upon the Iranian people to take the matter into their own hands. This Operation Lion's Roar, we will continue to operate, and we expect to suffer massive losses. However, we draw strength from our people, as since
Oh, good. Ali Budamaz up. This thing is different from previous aerial show of force.
Have started. We have been joining hands. That's why I call on the Israeli people to abide by the home front instructions, simply because these are life-saving instructions, and the military operations is directly linked to that. If we had not moved, we would have a nuke-powered Iran. They will have been possessed thousands of nuclear-powered missiles. Therefore, we had no option but to start this battle. The joint operation by Israel and the United States has started. And again, I address the Iranian people, the Iranian army. You are not our enemy. We are not your enemy. Our common enemy is the oppressive tyrant regime that have taken illegal possession of your lives. They have taken illegal possession of your resources and plunged your country. I am working in close coordination with the President of the United States, and every army man who lays down his arm will be offered safe exit. It is your opportunity. The Iranian army,
exactly how it works in Gaza. Sure.
To have
buddy.
a new Iran, a free, liberated Iran. Hold your heads high. Our forces and the forces of the free world.
Do these guys like think that we don't have the fucking internet, man? That we can't see what they've been doing for like the last 2.5 years now?
The United States will work for peace and prosperity.
Every word they say is just total bullshit, man.
And here I would like to thank my friend, the President of the United States, Donald Trump, the U.S. Army, the President.
The least
Trump
popular person in the fucking world says, "Oh yeah, my friend Trump." Also, also one of the least popular people in the world, and in the United States also.
Interest of the entire world. We will bring the broader light of freedom to the whole world. Again, I salute
explosions heard in Jerusalem.
Personnel of the Israeli army, the Air Force, the Mossad, civil defense, and rescue teams. I salute you for your capabilities, your efficiency, and make no mistakes, the entire nation is behind you. The entire nation is praying for your victory. 2005 years ago, the old
Ali reporting loud bangs all the way from Amman.
Empire had the same goal to exterminate our nation.
What's this area? What's this?
Mordecai,
Is this Haifa?
The king, and these glorious feast days, they stood up, and the tyrant ruler
third wave of
Persia,
Iranian
Cyrus,
missiles attacks heading out.
had fallen. Equally, the current criminal regime of Iran will fall.
All U.S. and Israeli assets and interests in the Middle East have become legitimate targets. A senior Iranian official told Al Jazeera.
We are standing tall as.
That was Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu speaking to Israelis after Israel and the United States launched a joint attack on Iran. Prime Minister Netanyahu saying that this campaign will let Iranians take their fate into their own hands. He has said that this joint attack by the U.S. and Israel was to remove what he called an existential threat posed by Iran.
4 minutes ago, they should be landing soon.
Has said that additional missiles have now been launched towards Israel from Iran. An additional barrage of missiles. Ali Hashem, the fact that the Iranians were able to launch missiles at Israel only an hour after the initial attack by the Israelis and Americans, what does it tell us about the command and control structure right now?
Well, it seems that the command and control till the moment is intact.
Yeah.
The last time, when in the last war, it took them 13 hours
to respond.
Exactly. Now it's just in a couple of hours, and this is the second wave. Heading towards Israel. And according to an Iranian official who spoke to Al Jazeera, there are no red lines anymore. Right. So it seems that they are preparing for this.
Okay. Now, we're also hearing from Iran's allies in the regions, including the Houthis in Yemen. Will they get involved in this?
Yes,
this is what
of course they will.
Reports that they are going to be part of it.
Yeah, Ansar Allah don't give a fuck, dude.
Part of this, is it going to be by expressing solidarity, or is it going to be by closing the straits, or is it going to be by launching rockets towards Israel? These are big questions. Also,
no rockets, bro. They're actual
we've
missiles.
had a kind of an ascending rhetoric coming from Iraqi militias allied to Iran.
Mm-hmm.
The only ones who we didn't have a clear picture from whether they are going to be part of this are Hezbollah in Lebanon.
Mm-hmm. All right, we will keep a close eye on that, of course. Let's
Golan Heights
analyze these latest developments now with Akiva Eldar, who's an Israeli political analyst in Tel Aviv, and also Mohanad Seloum from the Doha Institute of Graduate Studies joining us here in the studio. Akiva, let me come to you first and ask you about what Prime Minister Netanyahu has said and the case for war he made. Is it a convincing one? Will Israelis
Iran launching a swarm of drones towards Israel and missiles?
Well, Paulie, I will do a spoiler.
2 big booms, a third and a fourth.
Wow. This round of escalation, Netanyahu will declare victory, which he was not able to do.
What does victory look like for Israel today?
Exactly. He put the threshold much higher than he did in the previous round of escalation. Now,
Netanyahu probably said, I don't know, I didn't think we'd get this far.
He is the angel who will save the Iranian people from
breaking news.
Evil regime,
dog has caught the tire of the car he was chasing.
Sure that the Israelis, and this is about 50% of the Jewish population, don't take him seriously. He wasn't able to declare victory after the massacre in Gaza and the thousands of victims in Israel. There are still people in the north that are not back to their homes, that have been now the Hezbollah or Iran. We don't even know for sure where those missiles are coming from. But what his total victory is, of course, changing the agenda. There was supposed to be a major demonstration in Jerusalem against his government, corrupted government. And now, of course, a few minutes ago, I had here in one of the suburbs of Tel Aviv,
Houthis announced resumption of attacks on the Red Sea.
People are stuck at home, but his message that
dude, they don't give a shit.
Translating very carefully was that this is necessary.
They don't give a fuck, man. They're like, yeah, we're in, bro. We're good. Let's go.
Well-being. We have to go.
I mean, and this coming after Trump directly announced that he was going to go after the proxies of Iran. This being one of the proxies of Iran.
The Jewish people are going to celebrate the holiday of Purim, where the Jewish people.
This is full-scale warfare, man.
Regime, and I'm sure that we're going to hear more about it. And Netanyahu does what he is doing best in the last 25 and more years, to brainwash people that there is no option option.
Dimona reactor. Oh shit.
Perpetuate the war against our neighbors.
They're gonna try and blow up Israel's nuclear power again.
The president of the United States, and to remind you, Polly, he succeeded to
Upper Galilee, sirens going off
in the White House to pull out of a good, reasonable agreement with Iran. But
and it was just last week also that Netanyahu traveled to Washington, presumably to convince President Trump once again to enter into this war with Israel. Mohanad Seloum, let me come to you next now. The goals of this U.S.-Israeli operation have been laid bare by both Prime Minister Netanyahu in his statement there and
British Maritime Authority. We warn against sailing in the Gulf of Oman, the Northern Arabian Sea, and the Strait of Hormuz.
So how do you see it playing out?
Well, it seems that they're going for the leadership. So there is a decapitation process going on as we speak since the morning. We don't know how many of the leadership have already been decapitated. And also, you know...
we know from our reporting on the ground and the sources that the Supreme Leader is safe. He hasn't been injured, and so is President Pezeshkian safe, as from what we understand.
Yeah, well, these are unconfirmed reports. These people are in hiding at the moment, and there is no official confirmation. And even the Iranian response to the attack, it might be on autopilot. I mean, the Iranians have already predicted this. Probably they have simulated this over and over and over since last June. So they know what they are going to do, and probably they have delegated leadership to names that we don't even know about, just to, you know, respond to the Iranian and U.S. Attack. But what we've
2 explosions reported in Bahrain.
Operation for regime change in Iran. It's not only about Israel. I mean, Israel is there. It's in its interest.
Is it a U.S.-led operation? Well, obviously the U.S. is a powerful... But the Israelis
allegedly
must
that's the only report I see on that.
And must have had a big role in this as well.
Obviously, they
were
have
behind
been.
it.
Yeah, they have been trying to do this, and Netanyahu went himself to D.C.
Possible direct hit near U.S. base in Bahrain with photos. Oh shit!
Israel on its own cannot change the regime in Iran. It is the U.S. Army doing this, and also the U.S. have been very much intentional with this. They have moved.
Oh shit! Shit!
This armada of carriers, F-22s, everything, and they are attacking Iran as we speak now.
Right, but what imminent threat did Iran pose to the U.S. for the U.S. to attack it in this way? This is what President Trump said in his speech, that Iran posed an imminent threat. What was the threat?
Well, they haven't laid out bare out there, but they're saying that the missiles, the nuclear, and the ballistic system, all these together, they are posing a threat not to the U.S. itself, but to the U.S. interest in the region
of course,
and its allies. And Iran did not hesitate to use that. But let's be clear, this, if you like, this conflict between the U.S. and Iran has been going on for years now. And the Iranian side has been very much keen on keeping its nuclear systems, and they have been going on, with different U.S. administrations trying to find a middle ground and a solution, but it never happened. Now the U.S. is reaching the last limit, especially with, the zero game, if you like, ideas of President Trump, saying that you have to give up on everything.
More explosions over occupied Palestine.
Everything than going to war. So the Iranians went for war because it's less costly for them than giving up on their nuclear weapons and ballistic missiles.
Akiva Eldar in Tel Aviv, what about the costs for Israel? In the last few years, Israel has been engaged in a war in Gaza, a genocide in Gaza. It's been engaged in a war against Hezbollah in Lebanon, twice now against Iran. Isn't this costing Israel and the Israelis as well?
Yeah, it costs not only financially, with its billions of dollars. Maybe Netanyahu is hoping that his friend over there, White House, that is not very eager to spend money on other countries or other people. Maybe he believes that he will be also able to convince him to pay those bills. But more than that, you look at the Israeli...
American refuelers have begun departing from Ben Gurion Airport.
Doesn't see any light at the end of the tunnel. The only tunnels we know is the tunnels in Gaza.
They're gonna bomb the fuck out of Tehran, dude.
They are not able. Israel is becoming an isolated island more than before, and I think the psychological effect, at least 1/3 of the Israelis, according to research that has been done in the United States.
It's gonna be like 100 fucking jet fighters just going over Tehran and just bombing it.
Neighbors, people going with their heads down.
I think Iran's like, fuck it, we have to unload right now.
As we know,
there is no other time. This is the last effort.
Promising us is just blood, sweat.
We're not the baddies. We're just literally just evil. Yeah.
I think that the Israeli economy can deal with it, but what is happening is that in Israel, for the first time this year, we have negative immigration. Good people are leaving the country. But I want to go for a minute to the message of Netanyahu that he wants to put.
It's crazy that Bahrain got hit, though.
New Middle East.
If that's the case, then U.S. soldiers already in danger.
The Palestinian Authority and the Peace Council is willing to.
Report of damage in the Haifa area.
Netanyahu is doing everything to undermine it, and if he was willing to move. Maybe
Bahrainian military media reporting explosions.
Okay, Akiva, just to bring our viewers up to speed with what's been happening, if they're just joining us now, it's just past 9 GMT. And our continuing coverage of this breaking news story, the U.S. and Israel are attacking Iran just days after representatives from Tehran and Washington held indirect negotiations in Geneva. Explosions have been heard in northern Israel as the military there intercepts incoming Iranian missiles. And in just the last few minutes, Qatar's defense ministry saying that an Iranian missile has been intercepted by the Patriot defense system. And there are also reports of explosions in Bahrain. Now, the attacks in Iran, the Iranian capital, are part of what the United States are calling Operation Epic Fury, and they're taking place across cities in Iran. Iran has closed its airspace and cut mobile phone services. Now, video shows a low-flying fighter jet in the skies over the Iranian capital a short while ago, and Iranians have been hearing the sounds of jets and explosions throughout Saturday morning. Aside from Tehran, there have also been attacks in the holy city of Qom, Karaj near the capital, Isfahan in central Iran, Tabriz in the northwest, and Kermanshah and Ilam both in the west towards the border with Iraq. Now, Iran's paramilitary Revolutionary Guard says the country has launched its first wave of retaliatory drone
Patriot battery stationed in Israel downed an Iranian missile. Okay, I guess.
Have been taking place, we understand, in Bahrain and here in Qatar. The defense ministry confirming that an Iranian missile has been intercepted by the Patriot defense system. Ali Hashim, what are you hearing about these Iranian retaliatory attacks?
Well, it's clear that the Iranian retaliation started. It started with the first barrage, at least 2 barrages towards Israel. Now we're hearing of the interception over Qatar and in Bahrain. And this actually reflects what the Iranians have been saying over the past weeks regarding the...
Yeah, they're calling it True Promise 4 also. Iran said True Promise 4.
Just turning this whole conflict into
I was right. True Promise 4.
Because the Iranians have said that all U.S. assets in this region are illegitimate targets.
Put me on the news! Al Jazeera, I'm ready.
Because the Qataris have good relations with Tehran.
They are mediators, actually. They are mediating, and as we know, there were a previous attack after the June war in 2025. So we are seeing more regional intertwining when it comes to this conflict, and this is taking this conflict towards somewhere very complicated.
Mohanad Saloon, what are your thoughts? What are the risks today of an all-out regional conflict, given what we're seeing, these developments in Iran targeting these U.S. targets in countries that are allies in the region?
The stakes are very high.
Yeah.
I mean, Iran is now, it's confirmed to the Iranian leadership that this is an existential
This is Bahrain.
war. This is not a war that would end with a compromise. President Trump himself appealed to the Iranian army. And maybe I note here that the Iranian army was not
Holy fuck!
And this time around, they will be targeting only the IRGC as we speak. So the US and Israel, both of them confirmed that this is an attack for regime change. So the Iranians would respond fiercely if they could, because the US and its allies, they probably have predicted this, and probably they have, they have taken measures to prevent that or to minimize the damage, because President Trump said that we might lose some of our soldiers, and that's a cost that we are prepared for.
Oh,
this
shit.
Is the alarm, by the way, that we all get on our phones here in Doha when there's an urgency. And
yeah, Doha's gonna get fucking hit, dude.
System has gone off here in Qatar. The Defense Ministry in Qatar announcing just a short while ago that an Iranian missile has been intercepted here in Qatar, warning citizens basically to take shelter. Let's bring in Alan Fisher in Washington, D.C.
That's fucking, they're in fucking Doha, dude. Holy shit.
This is also happening here in Qatar. Our emergency systems going off here. Alan Fisher in Washington, D.C., Zain Bazravi in Doha, Beirut. We have Zaina Khodar. Can we go to Zain Bazravi first? Zain, you're in Doha. Tell us about the situation.
It's over,
here.
bro. This is much bigger than
well, it certainly is tense. The hours since
than we could have imagined.
Changed the situation dramatically. We just heard those alerts going off. We were standing here, people on their smartphones here on the Corniche, tourists still out and about. All of their phones went off at the same time, warning of the threat of incoming missiles. Now, earlier, an official source in the country, Ministry of Defense, confirmed to Al Jazeera that an Iranian missile was shot down using Patriot systems. Of course, Patriot defense systems were mobilized in multiple numbers ahead of
the
this
domino fall.
or ahead of this attack on Iran.
Like I said, Iran right now, Iran's like, we need to do everything because this is going to be our last chance
conflict now
to inflict as much damage as possible. Because the U.S. putting their fuel tankers in the air means that it's going to be a fucking firestorm. It's going to be a fucking firestorm. And this is their last opportunity to fire everything. Yes. Yes.
Shooting down an incoming missile.
They are going to hit every fucking target that they can in the next like 30 minutes.
We've seen a few flights in the air in the past hour. Those were perhaps the last flights to come in and out of Doha, perhaps for some time. That U.S. warning, that U.S. Embassy warning, telling people to shelter in place, but also to have food and water supplies, to have a plan to exit. There seems to be this urgency from the U.S. Embassy to suggest that this may be a protracted event.
I can't feel awful for meaning to cope.
So
nah,
dude,
we need
we
to
all
cope.
got on our phones just a short while ago
Oh,
here
man.
in Qatar.
Yeah, I was about to have a breakdown a second
Qatari
ago.
Authorities telling everyone here in Doha to stay away from military installations. As you said, a huge U.S.
I feel bad for them. They're in Doha.
Difficult to say what is going to be the scope of Iran's
Closure of
retaliation
UAE airspace.
Zain.
Well, I can tell you from reporting I've done in the past in Iran for years, whenever you speak to officials on the ground, whenever you speak to any analysts, really anyone that is connected to the government or the IRGC or the military establishment or the clerical system of government.
Air India flight operating from Delhi to Tel Aviv is now returning to India.
Neighboring countries. They want to maintain friendly ties, but they continue to point out
It's fucking game on, dude.
And if Iran is attacked, there's
I can't.
by a number of analysts and officials that they know that a full-scale U.S. invasion is something that Iran is unlikely to be able to combat strictly because of the asymmetry of military power on the U.S. side. But they say that if the United States is going to decide to change
Iran targeted military assets in
Iran is going to
Bahrain.
have its map changed. It will change the map of the region. So what we are worried about now is that Iran will retaliate in the way that it has been promising all
Renewed
along.
rocket fire at northern Israel.
Attack every U.S. ally in the region.
Indeed.
And that is something that they have gone on record to say for years.
Qatar's airspace
Explosions
has been
in
closed.
Bahrain,
Bahrain's
Abu Dhabi,
airspace
and
also
Qatar.
closed. We are looking on the left-hand side of our screen there of the explosion in Bahrain. And in Qatar, this was the missile that was intercepted earlier. It looks like in Bahrain.
Do you think India will go into
Pakistan? Sort of explosion. Unclear as to whether this is something that was intercepted
I don't think so.
or it made impact, Zain.
I don't know if the Taliban would take not Tucker's fifth.
I mean, it is going to take time to figure out exactly.
Think of the property values.
What is being hit. There is some concern about the precision of Iranian missiles. There has been concern about these things in the past, but Bahrain is home to the U.S. Fifth Fleet. Qatar is home to.
I don't know if renewed rocket fire at northern Israel means that Hezbollah is involved now. I don't know if that's what that means, or if they're talking about Iran firing at northern Israel again.
Also of huge explosions in Abu Dhabi, the capital of the United Arab Emirates.
Dude, Abu Dhabi, Qatar, Bahrain, those are all protected by Patriot missiles. Those are protected by the United States.
Retaliation clearly has begun.
That shouldn't happen.
What are the Iranians saying there?
The missile defense systems are fucking useless.
The Supreme National Security Council saying that they have a major announcement to make shortly. But the Iranian people are still waiting for that statement because apparently there will be some details there.
At what point do they hit the fucking USS Abraham Lincoln?
The IRGC.
Yeah, ally doesn't apply that well to the region because they know that these fucking these alliances don't mean shit. They don't mean shit at all. They've never meant anything. International rule of law is out the fucking window. It hasn't meant shit for years. There are no rules. The rules are there are no rules at all.
So we have an atmosphere of war in Tehran and across the country.
Everybody is a fucking target. If you work with the West, if you work with the United States, if you work with Israel, you are a target.
Kunarak city, we have Bushehr province, and we have Kermanshah in the west, we have Qum south of Tehran, we have Esfahan, that's at the center of the country, and we have Bandar Abbas.
And we saw that when Israel attacked Doha.
So it's a wide range of attacks that have
when Israel attacked the Hamas representation in Qatar.
So it's a full
with the full knowledge of the United States.
There are information about the
at that point, that was just the last piece of the Band-Aid off.
So Iran is not
that said international law has
been promising this.
It's just words.
This time it's going to be different.
Just words written on a paper. Doesn't mean jack shit.
We have seen before. And also you have, of course, signs of that in Bahrain, in Abu Dhabi, in Doha, where they have started to target even countries that have military bases in them.
Indeed, Iranian officials, as you say, Mohammed, saying that all U.S. bases and interests are within Iran's
current operation carried out by the Israeli military is going to be planned for weeks.
Inside its territory,
closely coordinated with the United States.
U.S. base in Bahrain.
Welcome back, Gulf War. Yeah.
Navy's Fifth Fleet has been targeted by a missile attack here in Qatar.
Iran hit a military base in the UAE.
Missile was intercepted. There have also been explosions heard in the UAE, in Abu Dhabi, the capital of the UAE, as well as Kuwait. So clearly a wide-ranging retaliatory response from the Iranians. They have made preparations for this, as you said. What about the Iranian people, Mohammed?
Will they fire on Saudi Arabia?
Of chaos and perhaps panic in Tehran.
What are the Kalshi odds on that one?
People have made in anticipation for this conflict.
Well, we told you about the traffic.
You better go gas up right now before the fucking before the gas prices go up.
It's getting worse now, and the Iranian
that's all I can say.
Because of this semi-total
gas is about to be $5 a gallon, fucking nationwide in the U.S.
We know that they have been bracing.
What side of Saudi Arabia? The oil fields. I wouldn't be surprised if Iran bombs the Conoco oil fields.
But also we have millions of Iranians who are against this war
that are in Syria. Because what the fuck's Syria going to do anyway?
Of their government, the government has asked them to stay calm, to stay home, and to avoid going out in the streets. We know.
I mean, but I guess like Russia's
reaction among Iranians, among the opposition,
no, not anymore because
who have been protesting against the government.
Yeah, they probably will.
Are wishing for some kind of safe change of government in the country without themselves being hurt, which is a very, of course, difficult situation when your country is under attack. You wish you are personally safe, your family is safe, but you're also wishing for a major change in a change of regime. So that's a contradictory feeling there in the country. People are not feeling safe.
This is like the 12th boom that this person's reported in the West Bank that they can hear.
But also we have, as I said, those people who are still wishing that regime
explosions heard near Kuwait.
Okay, Mo, for
Explosions
now,
in Abu Dhabi.
Leave it there. We'll come back to you, of course, for all the latest there from Tehran. Let's check in with Noor O'Day now. Noor, what's been happening in Israel?
They fired on Israel to make everybody think that it was just all going to go towards Israel, and they were like, all right, now attack the U.S.
In the southern parts of Israel, as well as over illegal settlements across the occupied West Bank. The latest sirens are in Akka and in the Galilee area. We've also seen sirens in the Beersheba and Dimona areas. There have been several loud explosions heard, most likely of interceptions. Some were clearly heard here in Ramallah as well, targeting possibly the missiles that were headed towards in the direction of Jerusalem or Tel Aviv and the coastal area in Israel. The security sources have been quoted by Israeli media fully saying that the first strikes by Israel and the U.S. Aimed at assassinating as many top leaders of the Iranian government and leadership structure as possible. Of course, we have no confirmation that such assassinations took place, but it is clear from the rhetoric and
Israel was like,
tone of the messaging of the Israeli Prime Minister that this is not a strike. This is an operation aimed at changing the government, toppling the government in Tehran. The Israeli Prime Minister very careful to address the Iranian public, although in Hebrew, which they do not speak, saying that they are not.
It's broken, bro. I don't know.
In the meantime, of course, the Israeli government has also taken steps here in the occupied West Bank,
investigate that one. Hold
on. More than 1,000 Israeli checkpoints and roadblocks in the occupied territory, making movement between cities very difficult, if not at all impossible. People rushing to the supermarkets and the gas stations. A lot of traffic jams reported across the occupied West Bank, with the Palestinian Authority trying to give some comfort to residents here, saying that there are food reserves that would be sufficient for up to 6 months. But really,
it worked the other day.
There is a lot of concern here. There are no public shelters in the occupied West Bank. No construction codes would allow it. The construction codes imposed, of course, by the Israeli occupation.
These white men are dangerous.
Are unnerved. They understand
it works over here, bro. I don't know.
This is a different kind of confrontation, and they're monitoring very closely, Israelis and Palestinians alike, the developments that are happening across the region. This is not just an Israel-Iran confrontation anymore. Very loud explosion that I can hear in the background. I'm not sure the camera can catch it, but more interceptions.
I'm a white guy, so I knew I was dangerous.
Over the skies. One more in the Ramallah area. So certainly this is an ongoing.
They're like, oh my God, they're attacking the Gulf countries. Yeah, dumbasses. That's what they said they would do.
Israel
interceptors exploding over Amman. Oh, fantastic!
In the early hours of the morning.
As you said, Noor, a lot of concern, not just in Israel, Palestine, and Iran, but across the region, with Iran now starting to retaliate. The Iranians targeting the 5th U.S. fleet in Bahrain, missiles intercepted here in Qatar, but also explosions heard in the UAE, the UAE announcing the closure of its airspace.
Service center of the U.S. 5th Fleet in Bahrain subjected to missile attack.
Israeli people, but also to the
Bahrain's
Iranians.
state news agency reports.
Israel and the United States launched a joint campaign, Operation Lion's Roar. The objective of the operation is to put an
President Aoun of Lebanon conducting a series of communications that included the Prime Minister,
oppressive regime, facilities of the
Nawaf
Revolutionary
Salam,
Guard, along with the United
Minister
States
of Public
military,
Works. So
ballistic
looks like he's
missile
getting
sites
everybody
that
together.
threaten both Israel and U.S. forces. This operation will continue as long as necessary. In recent months, the tyrants in Iran have been plotting to
Lebanon
rebuild their
internally.
nuclear and missile capabilities and to bury them underground, where we won't be able to strike them. If we don't stop them now,
Norway foreign minister describes Israel attack as a preemptive strike, but does not comply with international law.
Negotiations with our American friends. Whoever lays down their weapons, including among the regime forces, will ensure their safety and secure their future. The Iranian people in all their diversity, Persians, Kurds, Azeris, Baluch, Abkhazians, and all other citizens of this wonderful nation, this is your opportunity to establish a new and free Iran. Take your destiny into your own hands.
Let's speak to Gideon Levy now, columnist at Haaretz newspaper.
Gideon Levy.
Gideon, how big of a risk is Netanyahu taking by launching this operation on Iran?
It's not only Netanyahu. Israel is taking a hell of a risk. And as usual, in the beginning, everyone supports any military operation.
Okay, sorry to interrupt you, Gideon. We've just had another alert here in Qatar from
incoming
authorities telling citizens to take shelter and to stay away from military installations because of possibly an incoming Iranian missile. Qatar is home, of course, to the largest U.S. military base in the region, and the National Emergency Alert System going off again, asking citizens to take shelter.
Okay, at this point, we just need to say Israel is committing crimes instead of not complying with international law. Because when have they followed it?
A lot of interruptions.
Good, that's the Amber Alert siren. God, that's the Amber Alert siren, yeah.
The Iranian retaliation to the attack on its territory. Go ahead, Gideon.
First of all, solidarity with you.
Israel on fire over here.
We are facing obviously the same here. I have now to go to the shelter here. So we continue later. I have to rush to the shelter.
They don't say where this is. This isn't Israel, it's Iran? Oh, okay. Thank you, Tal.
Take shelter. We will come back to you when it's safe. Rory Challenge now in Amman, Jordan. What's happening in your neck of the woods?
No misinformation
in the
here.
last few minutes, at least 3 fairly sizable booms in the skies over Amman. And we have heard over the past 2 hours.
Is that Iron Dome starting to rust?
Jet planes
Iron Dome
was skies, and what to my ears at least sound like air defense being operated. Now,
Iron Dome.
This is in line with what
if they can hit
by the
fucking Bahrain, if they can hit the U.S. bases in Doha,
now they have
in Abu Dhabi, like you're fucked. You're fucking. You could have 70 layers. Fuck 7 layers of missile defense systems. You could have 70 layers of fucking missile defense systems. That shit don't fucking matter, bro.
Missiles have been hitting other parts of the region. You can only
obviously missile defense.
Basically
not as good as missile offense.
Jordanian skies and make sure that they are safe. Jordan is in a bit of a predicament here, as are many other regional countries, because as we have been talking about over the last hour or two of coverage, they are broadly sympathetic to many parts of Iran's plight,
explosions heard in occupied Jerusalem.
Allies with the United States, and they are hosting in many parts of this region large U.S. facilities, and the Jordanians have one.
Ooh, another view of Haifa.
Salti Air Base, which is about 100 kilometers east of Amman, the capital. In recent days, there have been 60 to 70 U.S. planes there. That's triple the kind of normal amount of U.S. planes. And the Iranians have been saying specifically that in the case of any US and Israeli attack against Iran, that it would become a regional conflict, that the wider region of the Middle East and the Gulf would be drawn into this, and that's what we are seeing playing out at the moment with these attacks.
The Gulf countries are intercepting Iranian missiles above their own cities, risking the lives of their own citizens to protect Israel and U.S. bases. Is one of the most disgusting scenes
in the region, Jordan being one
we will
of them,
keep witnessing in this war.
Specifically, they have said that they would not take part, they would not facilitate any U.S.
That's the 8th layer of the Iron Dome.
Message to Iran
is having the Gulf countries sacrifice their own people
several times. That's any U.S. facility in the region is basically, as Zain put it a short while ago, fair game.
And we're hearing now from the Iranian Foreign Ministry in the last few minutes releasing a statement saying this renewed military aggression comes while Iran and the U.S. were in the midst of a diplomatic process.
They're saying the U.S. airbase in Qatar, Al Udeid, was struck by an Iranian missile, so they're confirming that. That's Israel confirming that.
Across various cities in Iran.
As of 3 minutes ago, sirens confirmed in Tel Aviv.
The main target of the first U.S.-Israeli attack were these targets, including government buildings in Tehran. We've heard from our sources on the ground that the supreme leader is safe, hasn't been injured, and that the president of Iran as well is safe. In the last hour, Iran's response has begun across the region. There have been explosions reported in Bahrain. The 5th U.S. fleet in Bahrain, the Navy fleet, targeted in that
bases in Riyadh.
Interceptions here in
a base
Qatar
in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia has been hit
by Iran. Qatar, home to the largest U.S. military base in the region.
How are we supposed to have the next comedy tour there, man?
Abu Dhabi, in the United Arab Emirates, as well as Kuwait. With us analyzing these fast-moving developments, Mohanad Siloon from the Doha Institute of Graduate Studies and Al Jazeera's Ali Hashem, of course, who's covered the region extensively for us. On the Iranian Foreign Ministry statements, they've come out very quickly to say which areas in Iran have been targeted. How significant is this?
Well, this is...
If they hit Riyadh, that's crazy, dude. That's crazy. How will Bob learn Arab people?
Not only on the military side, but also on the diplomatic side. It seems that there is a plan already.
It's cooked,
and
bro.
This plan
it's
is mainly built on kind of...
I need an actual photo of Riyadh getting hit.
But also the outside on how things are going on. What we're hearing also from Iran is that
explosions reported in Riyadh,
targeting in the beginning of this war of several military commanders.
All right, don't search hashtag Riyadh because I can't show that on stream.
Not, but there are senior military commanders in Iran who were targeted in this strike.
Okay. Feel bad for Ariana Jasmine.
Saloon, quite significant.
What the fuck, dude? You fucking type in Riyadh and like it's just a bunch of fucking porn bots.
Bahrain, the UAE, Kuwait, and Qatar.
And now Iraq as well. There are reports that some places in Jaffa Safar, south of Baghdad, have been targeted either by Israel.
These are like all AI bots, bro. They're not even real people.
On its promise, they said that this is going to be a regional war, so they are trying to draw in other countries in the region into this war. So they targeted Abu Dhabi. Probably they would target. They targeted
back to my own curated list.
They might also target other countries like Saudi Arabia. And they already did in Iraq. So they want to raise the cost for these countries with the hope probably that these countries will pressure the U.S. or would pressure the U.S. administration.
Iran, confirmation from Khan News that Iran is attacking Bahrain, UAE, and Kuwait U.S. bases.
The fact that the Iranians are targeting countries where their U.S. bases, of course.
Qatar says that it intercepted 2 missiles.
That are, have good relations with Iran. What does that tell you about the regime's, objective and its intent?
Oh shit!
Multiple times, the Iranian foreign minister said that we're not targeting these countries. They are
drop site always got the dirt, bro.
We're targeting the U.S. bases and foreign bases in these countries. But I think that line is being
blurred a missile
at the moment because they're targeting, places inside the cities, and they're targeting people.
My memes aren't drawing in bootlickers.
Emergency alert here in Qatar, which says please ensure to stay at home or in a safe place and not go out, only for extreme cases until the danger has passed. Clearly incoming danger here in Qatar as well. 2 missiles have already been intercepted here in Doha by the missile defense system. It would seem a 3rd one is incoming. The Iranians clearly are prepared this time around. They weren't caught by surprise, given the response we're seeing.
Fire Trump right now. Attach him to a missile and fire that shit into her.
The U.S. and its allies have already predicted this, and probably they have plans to stop this. They're prepared also to pay the cost for this. I think what President Trump said that some of our men and women might die in this war, but that's a price we are prepared.
That's a price we're willing to pay.
Here is the unfolding of this conflict where the Iranians. This is the last showdown, if you like, between these two big powers.
The last showdown, you say, but how is it going to end? What brings it to an end?
But it seems that the U.S. and Israel and their allies as well, they are very much keen on regime change. And what
all the comedians and influencers who platform Trump need to be put up by the ankles. I do agree. Yeah,
would shake the regime and would probably help the Iranians topple the regime. So that is what they said out loud.
Okay, just to update our viewers on what's been happening in this region after the initial U.S. and Israeli attack on Iran, the Iranians have now started responding. There have been attacks, strikes on Bahrain, the UAE and Qatar, all countries which have closed their airspace, I should say. Iran has struck Bahrain's capital, Manama, while Qatar has announced that it's shot down at least 2 missiles that were headed towards the U.S. military base at Al Udeid here in Qatar. President Donald Trump issued a statement earlier, as we've been saying that the U.S. started major combat operations in Iran and warned that there will likely be American casualties. And what we've seen in the last hour is American bases in this region being targeted. President Trump also
the Republican Party needs to be dissolved and jailed. Yes, the Epstein class needs to be held accountable.
Let's listen to what the U.S. president said earlier.
The United States military began
you fucking moron
combat operations in Iran. Our objective is to defend the American people by eliminating imminent threats from the Iranian regime, a vicious group of very hard.
He's like, oh fuck, I'm gonna die soon.
Its menacing activities directly endanger the United States, our troops, our bases overseas, and our allies throughout the world.
CNN and Fox News covering this?
For 47 years, the Iranian regime has chanted death to America and waged an unending...
Glazing? Probably. They're not live. What the fuck? CNN doesn't live stream either? You fucking... Get with the times, people. Jesus Christ.
Holding dozens of American hostages
I'll pull it up
for
elsewhere.
444 days.
I'll just go to their direct website.
In 1983, Iran's proxies carried out the Marine barracks bombing in Beirut that killed 241 American military personnel. In 2000, they knew and were probably involved with the attack on the USS Cole.
Oh, well, by all means, fucking,
Iranian
destroy the planet.
Killed
then.
and maimed hundreds of American service members in Iraq. The regime's proxies have continued to launch countless attacks against American forces stationed in the Middle East.
Oh, you have to subscribe for CNN?
As well as U.S. naval and commercial vessels and international shipping lanes. It's been mass terror. And we're not going to put up with it any longer.
Not going to put up with
Let's bring in our chief U.S. correspondent, Alan Fisher, in Washington now. Alan, President Trump making there the case for war, but how big of a political risk is he taking by launching this operation on Iran?
Well, of course, he said
and we saw
when Barack Obama was running for election
to make
that Obama would launch a war in Iran.
We tried. They wanted to do it.
I guess they're just showing the fucking video over and over.
They didn't want to do it. They didn't know what was happening. They just wanted to practice evil. But Iran refused, just as it has for decades and decades. They've rejected every opportunity to renounce their nuclear ambitions, and we can't take it anymore. Instead, they attempted to rebuild their nuclear program and to continue developing long-range missiles that can now threaten our very good friends and allies in Europe, our troops stationed overseas, and could soon reach the American homeland. Just imagine how emboldened this regime would be if they ever had an actual...
low-energy Trump.
Nuclear ambitions to stop them pursuing a nuclear weapon. And of course, we saw Operation Midnight Hammer in June, and the White House still has this on the website, that Iran's nuclear program was obliterated at that point. Now, we know that Donald Trump has come under pressure from Benjamin Netanyahu to take action against Iran. He has consistently pushed the idea that Iran was just weeks away from a nuclear weapon. Something that is
you old son of a bitch. You ready for this?
Now we find ourselves in what is an open-ended operation.
Fuck, you fucking 3:30 in the morning, bro.
The possibility there'll be American lives lost. That will be a problem for him with his base. That will be a
passing
problem
in
for
the
him,
night here
with many people in the United States. And there's also problems ahead at Congress because
bro, they blew the fuck up out of the fucking U.S. base in Bahrain.
Should have gone through Congress
a direct
in
hit.
the first instance.
So good to see you in person.
Alan, thank you very much for now. Alan Fisher in Washington there. If you're just joining us on Al Jazeera, it's just gone past 9:33 GMT. And the United States and Israel are attacking Iran just days after representatives from Tehran and Washington held indirect negotiations. Iran's paramilitary Revolutionary Guard says the country has launched a retaliatory wave of missiles and drones at Israel. Explosions have been heard in Israel's north as the military there intercepted
this shit in the dead of night, so our citizens don't realize. That's exactly what it is. That's exactly what it is. It's not because it was 8 o'clock in the morning. There is when they did it, and they were like, "All right, 2 a.m. That was when we did Venezuela. It'll be over before you know it, right? They won't even know that we did anything."
Attack and has urged people to take cover in a safe area. Loud explosions.
Nah, bro, they're fucking blowing up Doha. They're blowing up Bahrain.
Announced the closure of its
they're blowing up Abu Dhabi.
Temporarily and partially.
Why attack other Gulf states? I don't get the strategy. For Iran,
over the
they promised that they would. The other Gulf states harbor U.S. military bases. The military bases that are in Doha and Bahrain are some of the largest bases in the region.
Bring us up to speed with what's been happening.
They are not small camps of a few hundred or 1,000 people. They are 10,000 people.
Just since we last spoke in the last 45 minutes or so.
All the Gulf states are proxies, just like their U.S. military bases. Exactly, yes.
Just happened. Felt a lot louder.
So this is an attack
kind of ground impact
on Israel and the United States. They can't reach the United States. They can't reach New York. They can't reach Los Angeles.
Multiple plumes of smoke.
But they're definitely going to be able to reach the military bases that are within range.
So it is an active environment. Just to give you a sense of how.
And they said they would. They have previously attacked bases in Iraq.
They're lining up for both.
They previously attacked Iran. Previously retaliated and attacked the bases in Iraq. And then the base in Doha is what we saw last time.
It is still something quite alien to people here, but these explosions are very apparent and very.
But initially, they launched attacks against Israel.
Just to clarify for our viewers, are these explosions are interceptions, right? Okay.
That's what it seems to be at the moment. That's what it seems to be. Yeah. I can tell you that we were here. We heard one explosion that we felt on the ground.
Yeah, we're hearing another alert. The reason I asked is because we've just heard another alert saying.
Patriot defense systems.
Yeah, we've just heard another emergency alert. That's why I asked whether this was an explosion or on impact or interception. I'll come back to you when we have more clarity on what's happening. Let's bring in David DeRoche now, professor at Thayer Marshall Institute. David, what do you make of these fast-moving developments? First, the Israelis announcing an attack, the U.S. then saying they're part of this operation, and then Iran's response, which has been very quick and wide.
Yep. So let me start from the back and move forward. The Iranian response was to be expected. They used their short-range missile arsenal, which was not severely degraded in the 12-day war because it couldn't reach Israel. We expected this to happen. What we've seen is probably indigenous, local, and American air defense forces have mostly intercepted missiles successfully. They'll still be damaged because it's metal stuff. It's not vaporized. It will fall down. But it does look, based on my preliminary analysis of what I see on Twitter, that at least one missile landed within the perimeter of the American base in Bahrain.
Dude, that was a direct hit. Did you not see the video? You have to have seen the video, right?
It's not as significant as people think it is. It's actually a command and control headquarters. So it probably would have been evacuated. And it looks as though the missile landed in warehouses, which presumably wouldn't be there. And one would imagine that the headquarters had been mostly evacuated because
I don't believe anything those guys say.
But, there is a possibility for loss of life. And, that's something that I think we'll be looking for a lot of evidence of.
We've also heard reports of explosions in Iraq, in the south, in a southern city in Iraq, which is home. Sorry, say it again. Okay, how significant is that one?
Well, it remains to be seen. I mean, the issue is you've got American forces evacuating Syria. A lot of that will be going
Yeah,
through
they evacuated
Iran.
Syria
So
because
it
those
could
are
be
the
against
least
American-
protected
recently
bases.
left Syria would have relocated to bases in
Not
Iraq.
relocated,
okay.
but exfiltrated through,
okay.
or some of their equipment.
Okay.
But you don't know. I mean, it could. The problem is sometimes you could have a natural gas explosion in the middle of conflict.
All I want is
You don't
Boom
know.
Boom Tel
One of the
Aviv
rules
Part
always
2
goes, the
Electric
first reports of war are always
Boogaloo.
wrong. So it remains to be seen, but we're in this period of confusion. We'll see what happens. But it looks as though there have been a number of successful intercepts of missiles so far.
All right, let's get the thoughts of Richard Weiss now, who's a senior fellow at the NATO Defense College, joining us from Virginia in the United States. Richard, what do you make of the initial Iranian
This is what you
response?
hear
It's
all
been
over the
quick and
region
it's
right
been
now.
wide, targeting not just one base, U.S. base in the region, but several.
Yes, I think, as David said, this was to be expected. The Iranians had a long lead time. They certainly must have anticipated that the possibility of a U.S. or Israeli attack was high. And targeting nearby U.S. facilities is not too challenging. They've had plenty of time to map the location, to aim their systems and so on. It'll be much harder for them to try and attack an aircraft carrier or other moving object. But for now, I think this is what we thought would occur. It fits in with their military capabilities and political military strategy of trying to escalate the conflict by getting other countries involved so that they could help stop that.
The latest reports also indicate, Richard, that there's been an explosion in Riyadh, in Saudi Arabia. Obviously, Iran's allies in the region could now also be getting involved. How significant is that, and what does that tell you about where this is headed?
Well, the Iranians know that if it's going to be a challenge for them to deal in a one-on-one or even worse, a two-on-one conflict against Israel and the United States. So their strategy clearly is to pull other countries into the conflict. Israel, of course, but also U.S. Gulf partners and allies.
Yeah,
and this,
I can see
this
that.
thought as a means to get
If
these
you can
leaders
immediately
to
start
intervene at the
striking
White House to cause
Riyadh,
an early end to the conflict. So I think that's the basic strategy.
especially if you land the hit,
They have
they're gonna say, "Ah, fuck, we you
you
know what? Hey, United States, Saudi Arabia, here, you better fucking fix this shit right now."
For the duration,
Like
but
that's
the
it.
intensity may slacken over time.
That's the point.
In terms
It's not
of
necessarily
the
that they
US
want to
and
bomb all the
Israeli
oil fields.
operation, how long do you anticipate it to last? What do you see as the strategy, and what is going to determine victory for them?
Yeah, that's a challenge. But from what we heard from President Trump and Prime Minister Netanyahu today, it sounds like their goal is regime change. So that would mean the war would continue until presumably the Iranian people manage to seize control of the government away from the clerical regime and establish their own. And that we just can't predict when or if that will occur.
Yeah, Middle East Eye confirming the Riyadh hit.
That have been moved in the region,
at least
of
loud
course,
explosions.
are huge. I mean, we've seen 2 U.S. Navy destroyers, over 300 aircraft. What does that tell you about the type of war that they're going to be leading?
I think the key thing actually is the asset that's not there. So in past major military operations in the Middle East, such as the 2 wars against Iraq, there was a substantial buildup of ground forces. And this is often thought to be, critical for any long-term operation. It can't just be air campaign. It has to include a ground component. Sometimes it can be a local.
And now we're just
ground
waiting on
component.
Israeli
That's what the
response.
US did in
Yeah,
Afghanistan
possible.
with taking advantage of the
But here's the thing, though, is like, yes, they've attacked Israel, but they've also attacked every regional country as well.
So that's what struck me, is this the
I think by doing that,
very much on air.
they're saying,
power,
hey, if you don't stop Israel and the United States right now, You're going to take the brunt of this fucking damage.
Please stay with us as we continue to cover these fast-moving developments. Iran's foreign ministry has just issued a statement which reads in part, the attacks carried out by the Zionist regime and the United States against Iran are clear examples of armed aggression. It says this moment represents a historic test for the Iranian nation, relying on faith, unity, national
Can't take you guys
determination.
anywhere, man.
The people and armed forces of Iran will once again defend their homeland. History shows that Iranians have never surrendered to aggression. This time as well, Iran's response will be decisive and aggressors will regret their hostile actions. Ali Hashim has covered Iran extensively. He's here with me in the studio, as is Mohanad Seloon from the Doha Institute of Graduate Studies. The Iranian response seems to be a very wide one. We're also hearing reports of explosions, a second loud bang heard in Abu Dhabi, as well as one.
Come on, PC. Come on, keep up. Keep up. It's not doing well.
Now in Dubai and Riyadh.
The whole region.
Significant, Ali.
Actually, we are seeing now...
Where'd they go?
Oh, shit. Oh, fuck.
Yeah. Live reaction from U.S. military, U.S. sailor in Bahrain. Hello? 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 Where is she? Hello? Man, everything's broken. All right, there we go. Tech support.
Bro. Oh, shit. Oh, fuck. Oh,
definitely an American.
Oh. Oh, shit. Oh, fuck. Oh, my God. Oh.
Uh-oh.
Dude, fuck me. A fucking missile actually got through. Oh, there's more. I gotta get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, good idea. Don't be by the window, you dumbass.
Oh, shit. Oh.
People act like it's the fucking 4th of July or some shit, man. You can get fucking hit by shrapnel.
Or
wave of attacks. But despite that, it seems that command and control is working normally as far as their launches towards Israel, and they're also continuous and
so can we collectively agree that Trump has ruined the entire Mideast operation?
It has come quick. It's come fast. It's a wide one as well, given the countries that have been targeted. But is it a sustainable one?
Well, it is for now. I mean, Iran is a massive country after all, and they have the arsenal. They have the regional allies, at least in terms of non-state actors. And I can hear from, at least from social media statements coming out of Iraqi militias saying that we have been targeted in Jurf al-Sakhar and we will be responding to this attack. And basically, they are signaling that they are part of this war, but they are waiting for signal to come from Tehran, asking them to get involved. So I think that Iran has thought this out, and they would activate these cells only when they think that they cannot sustain attacks from inside Iran against regional targets.
These regional countries are already, it looks like anyway, paying the price for the U.S. and Israel's decision to strike Iran. Would the Americans have anticipated such a response?
Definitely. I mean, Iran had made this very clear. The Supreme Leader said that very clearly in Arabic, in English, in every language possible. He said that this is going to be a regional war and no one would be spared, and that we would be targeting the military installations of the U.S. and other Western countries, but as well as countries, who cooperate with these with the U.S. We might target their own installations, and that, with reference to countries that would contribute or support this war. And already Iran has named that Bahrain, UAE, and other countries in the region are collaborating with the US and Israel against it, and they deem them as de facto enemies.
Right. Ali Hashim, it of course remains uncertain right now because, as we said, it's early hours to see how this campaign ends. But what seems to be clear, at least from what I see, is that the negotiations, the diplomacy is over for now.
Well, just
can they come back to the status quo, you think, given
no.
what we've seen?
The issue is that we're always dealing now with this deja vu moment.
But this feels different. This feels different, Ali, from 2025.
Well, it's different because this time it's the United States and Israel directly involved.
And
we took the mask off, right? So there's no mask that this is Israel and we're just helping our friend Israel. That mask is gone. Especially with Trump coming out and making a statement because he's a fucking dumbass. He wants to be at the forefront of everything. And say, this was my idea. Like, he made a full-on, 8-9-minute video of him saying, we're going after Iran because they're a bad actor in the region. This is the way it's going to be.
But is the Iranian regime's
there's no walking that back.
Sole objective right now, is it survival?
Well, it's clear because the main objective the United States and Israel put there is toppling the regime.
They hit Hebron.
Survival for the regime will mean that at least they made the objectives fail. So this is the main objective for them. If they keep alive, if they're there, if the system do not collapse.
Right, that's what I was going to ask.
Yeah.
What does survival look like for the regime? It's not just about a figurehead.
No, at all. It's not about the figure. Yeah. It's mainly about the system continuing. It's about the
Islamic direct hit in northern Israel.
Continuing
supposedly.
And going to talks after the war or diplomacy to end the war, this is something else. But as far as this establishment in Iran can preserve itself, or what they call in Iran preserving the nizam, the system, if they're able to preserve it, regardless of who is going to be killed, then to them, this is failing the other's objective.
Yeah. And Ali, Iran's Supreme National Security Council has just issued a statement. It reads, according to the information obtained from these two corrupt regimes, referring, of course, to the Israelis and Americans, their operations will continue in Tehran and some other cities. The government has already prepared all the needs of society, and there is no concern about the supply of public necessities. Schools and universities will be closed until further notice.
Whatever that was, it's gone.
The dear nation of Iran. Government offices will operate at 50% capacity for the time being. So a statement there from Iran's National Security Council. Let's go to Mohammed Val in Tehran for an update on the situation on the ground. Mohammed, what's been happening there?
Yes, fully just about 15 to 20 minutes ago, we had new explosions here in Tehran. We couldn't locate the exact targets.
Iran has struck Riyadh, Kuwait City, Kuwait,
this operation as has been promised by
Manama in Bahrain, Doha, Qatar, Abu Dhabi, UAE.
As you just mentioned, the Supreme National Council, Security Council has announced that this is going to be an
get better friends, dude.
That people have to take shelter in safe areas. They have to avoid going to unsafe places. And that there are
maybe don't host the U.S. military when they're bombing. They say they're going to bomb Iran. This is a restrained first couple of laps back and forth, and for sure. Oh yeah, guaranteed. Yeah, no, this is just them showing, them giving an example of what is possible.
Precaution measures for this.
Guaranteed. Yeah, that's a good point.
In food or any other facilities or amenities. So the government basically is saying that things are
especially like I said, if the if the missiles hit,
are in full action mode inside Tehran.
If they hit their targets, which it looks like they did, and they have been hitting,
keep track of the number of cities that are.
It's an example of what is possible.
It is getting to be a very long list now.
You know, everybody thought they were protected by the United States. They'd be like, oh yeah, well, we'll be on board with the U.S. You know, they'll give us missile defense systems. We'll have the THAADs and the Patriot missiles, and we'll be safe.
Focused on nuclear
that shit don't work.
This is a very wide range.
That shit was all paper, man.
Government facilities, defense ministry facilities, and also the Iranian army and the Iranian National Guard.
A lot of chatter online is people citing he didn't get congressional approval. We haven't gotten congressional approval since World War II.
Change can be affected in the country.
What about the Iranian people, Mohammed? We heard there from the National Security Council that provisions have been made.
Okay, let's say he went and did congressional approval. Okay, then what?
Preparations ahead of
then by all means, fucking bomb Iran, I guess. I don't know.
Look, I have been following the situation here in Tehran only since I arrived just 1 day ago, and today we have really short on updates because of this blackout. There is.
You gotta love the liberal response. Yeah, you didn't do it the right way. You should do your war crimes. You should document them properly.
96% of the national network has been blocked, so we're not really able to follow on social media and listen or reading what people are saying.
Oh shit, they got video of the Abu Dhabi hit.
Situations, and also we know from the recent days and weeks that the Iranians are divided, a little bit divided about this. Some of them have been protesting against the government in charge, and they are probably willing to see some kind of change. But that contradicts the need, even among these people, for safety, personal safety, safety for their families, and so on. And now that this campaign is taking place all across Iran, nobody is safe in this war. And you have also
like I said, get better friends, man.
Supporting the regime, and they have been demonstrating.
Everybody thought they were safe. They were good. You know, the U.S. military is going to protect us. Nothing can happen to us.
Dreaming of some kind of outcome that suits what they like to see happening in the country.
Yeah, everyone, as you say, Mohammed, preparing for the worst, including people in the region, not just in Iran and Israel. Iran has launched several retaliatory strikes on U.S. assets in the region, including in Bahrain, which has confirmed that there have been attacks inside its territory. It also says the headquarters of the U.S. Navy's 5th Fleet has been targeted.
You know, they're going to try to paint this like, oh man, Iran is attacking everyone. They said they would. They said they would attack any country that's aligned with the United States, and the United States attack them.
These are some of the latest images that appear to show interceptions over the skies.
This is in retaliation to the United States attacking them.
Also here in Qatar, which is home to the largest U.S. military base in the region, Al Udeid. Let's check in with Axel Zaimovic, who's in Doha. Axel, bring us up to speed with what's been happening here. There have been several missiles intercepted here in Qatar.
Airplanes were evacuated from Ben Gurion Airport after Iranian strikes on Israel.
Firsthand that these active
I think this is the least safe American allies I've ever been in history with this clown. Yeah, I've ever seen in the history with this clown show of the administration running things. Yeah, it's a skeleton operation. Yeah. Yeah, this doesn't end well for the U.S. We finally put our fucking foot in the pile of shit, dude.
Not just people living here, not foreign nationals, but everybody in the country to stay indoors because this situation
Trump's been running around fucking unhinged
quickly on
for a year now.
We also have another warning coming
just completely off the fucking rails, man.
Actually, that's the warning that
doing whatever the fuck he wants.
Told people here in Qatar to take cover, to take shelter, and
yeah, foot in the shit as the shit hits the fan. Yeah, dude.
Of communication, because as I said, the situation is rapidly
well, what's the strategy now? What's the U.S.-Israel strategy now?
Intercepting missile and projectiles.
We make promises to Jordan and Syria and Lebanon and the UAE, Saudi Arabia, Oman. You know, the parts of Yemen that we're aligned with.
That's the reason why we saw
everybody, and we tell them, oh yeah, we'll continue to protect you you from Iran. They've already been hit.
The base itself has been hit in any of these attacks.
Okay, so
they've already been hit, and the U.S. couldn't do shit about it. They were prepared for fucking weeks. They prepared for this for weeks.
Axel,
and they still hit them.
The suspensions of flights from Doha.
What's your next promise?
A huge disruption across the region.
What's Trump's next promise?
That's true, and it also Qatar also issued a statement.
And if they don't do anything, let's say they're like, all right, U.S., we trust you,
who have scheduled
and they continue to get hit.
The country should remain.
But let's fucking commercial, you fucking.
Is urging population here to not to go out in any public gatherings, to stay.
Thanks, Mubat, for throwing the commercial in while I'm talking, dude.
Have enough supplies until the situation is more clear, but. From the perspective, what I'm seeing here is standing at this live position, I still see that the traffic in Doha
I hope the commercial's
ongoing.
over.
It's
but yeah, like what's the next step there? You know,
it's really important.
We'll be right back after these commercial
channels of the communication.
What's the next step though for
not to cause panic and not to
for those countries? What's the next step for the UAE? What's the next step for Saudi Arabia? You know, you just sit back and you're like, oh yeah, you're doing such a great job, U.S. Please continue protecting me. Do you think the people that live in those countries are going to be like, oh yeah, my leader has a fucking good head on his shoulders. He's got the U.S. protecting us. We're not getting bombed at all. You got fucking bombed, man.
It's really early to say.
You got hit.
This situation is.
You think they're not going to be the ones that do an uprising?
Some public entities have advised their employees to
they already don't like their own governments
work from home until further notice because
a good percentage of Jordanians are from Palestine.
This entire regional conflict might go, but what we know is that everybody.
You have several countries with Palestinian diaspora.
As I've been repeating, it just to basically stay indoors. That's the
all of those countries have sympathy for the Palestinians.
Information that we're getting from the government at this point.
They know what this is about.
Thank you very much for now, Axel Zaimovic.
Don't some of them countries also use enforced servitude?
On Al Jazeera, it's just past 10 GMT. I'm fully Batibo, and you're watching Al Jazeera's continuing coverage of the U.S. and Israel's attacks on Iran.
This all stood on the idea that the U.S. military, the buildup of the U.S. military, will protect every country in the region. If this was to happen,
Operation Epic Fury.
It's a complete failure.
The Israeli military
you didn't kill the Ayatollah.
Dozens of military targets in Iran, and that strikes will continue.
Israel got easily hit. Every country in the region that they said that they would hit, they hit. They hit your military bases.
Will be quote crushing. Now, this, of course, is happening just days after
total failure
from Tehran and Washington held indirect nuclear talks in Geneva. Let's show you some of the latest video we're seeing, which shows a low-lying flying fighter jet in the skies.
That was from way earlier,
Iranian
dude.
capital. Iranians have been hearing the sounds of jets and explosions throughout this Saturday morning. Aside from Tehran, there have also been attacks in several other cities, including the holy city of Qom, Karaj near the capital, Isfahan, also in central Iran.
We know Iran's going to get hit. We expected that. Everybody expects that to happen.
The border with Iraq have also been targeted.
We want to know about the unexpected.
Explosions have been reported across the Gulf region as Iran retaliates. Bahrain has confirmed attacks inside its territory. These are some of the latest images we're receiving. Bahrain says the headquarters
explosions
of the
heard every few minutes in Doha
has been targeted by a missile attack. The government is urging people to take cover in a safe area. Bahrain's National Communications Center has also issued a statement which says the attacks are
all these populations of these countries that are getting bombed.
The government
they don't like their governments. They don't like their leaders.
Hostile attacks, describing them as a direct
one person dead in the missile attack of Abu Dhabi.
To the safety of its citizens and residents. The statement also says that Bahrain reserves its full right to respond and to take all necessary measures to safeguard its national security.
Do what you gotta do, bro.
In coordination
it's already
with its
over,
allies
man.
And partners. Loud explosions have also been heard in Abu Dhabi, the capital of the United Arab Emirates, which has announced it will partially and temporarily close its airspace. These are some of the latest images that appear to show missiles being
They're calling for the evacuation of Tehran.
There have been reports of interceptions in Dubai, in the UAE as well. Explosions have also been heard in Kuwait and here in Qatar. The Defense Ministry says it's responded to
widespread destruction in Tehran.
These are pictures from here, the Qatari capital, Doha. Qatar's defense ministry confirming that missiles were intercepted using a Patriot defense system.
So the people have to go through this stuff, man.
Have been sent out. All residents have been urged to take shelter.
It pisses me off that, you know, we're contributing to this death and destruction.
Here in Doha, in Beirut, Lebanon, in Ramallah, in the
through finances.
West Bank. Let's bring in Mohammed Varfas.
Used against our own will.
Tehran. Mohammed, bring us up to speed with what's been happening these last few hours, where the Israeli and U.S. strikes have hit Iran.
Hey man, it's Saturday.
Yes, fully we can confirm.
You know, if there's a protest going on, an anti-war protest going on this afternoon, you know, go to it.
The locations because of the blackout on the internet and the lack of communication with our sources. But that's an indication.
Some local news, the local news have it as a bottom story. This shit needs to be a top
this
story.
Is just one
you know
attack,
what I mean?
or one wave of attacks, and that's it. But now it's clearly, and has been also expressed by Americans themselves.
Bro, I've been yapping for like 7 hours today, man.
Against Iran. The Iranian Foreign Ministry has just, through its spokesperson, Ismail Baghouti, has just announced that Iran has only good intentions towards its neighbors in the region, but Iran has always confirmed that it is going to defend itself, and that if attacks from the enemy forces come from those countries, neighboring countries, Iran has to defend itself, and that's its legitimate right according to the United Nations Charter. So that's the first official comment on the attacks that you have just reported in several areas around Iran, here in the Gulf and so on. Also, I mean, the Foreign Ministry has called on the United Nations to take action, to assume its role here, because this is an aggression, as it described the attacks by the Americans and the Israelis. This is a violation of the United Nations Security Charter, and that the United States, I mean, the United Nations has to take action in this regard. The Iranian government is trying to reassure its people that things are under control. It has issued statements that people should stay in safe areas, they should stay put and calm, and not go to places where there might be some attacks. And that they should.
Holy shit! Only Spectrum is the station that is running anything on.
Because there is enough.
Like I said, it's the bottom line story.
That if they keep the order,
they don't care. They want you to be fucking ignorant to actual world news. They'll talk about the weather for 30 minutes and then talk about this shit for like 2 minutes.
So that's a message of reassurance for the people that the government is still in place, and that the rumors that they are in hiding and that they are nowhere to be seen is false, and that they are in charge and are leading this defense operation against the enemies of Iran.
Is Haifa.
Okay, so a message of reassurance from the Iranian leadership. There are two Iranians, Noor O'Day.
I don't think this is over.
What is the message from Israel?
This is just the beginning.
And what is it saying about the objectives?
Hell yeah.
Well, just a little bit of news.
I forget what alerts we have going on here. Thank you for the follow, by the way. I do appreciate that.
One 9-story building has been.
Yeah, it's just starting, man. It's just getting started.
Received considerable damage. Sirens continue to go off across the Israeli territory and in Israeli settlements across the occupied.
UK government says Iran must never be allowed to develop a nuclear weapon, but we do not want to see further escalation in a wider regional conflict.
Interceptions. The message from the Israeli government: this is not about just strikes. This is about changing the government, toppling the government. Something that Benjamin Netanyahu, the Israeli
U.S. and Israel puffed up their chest and they said, "We're going to come at you, bro."
He has a partnership with the
and Iran was like, "All right, well, I'm gonna hit your friends."
in a video addressed in Hebrew to the Israeli public.
Let me hit your rich
Emergency
friends.
has been declared in Israel. There are no schools, there are no public activities, no public gatherings either.
BP Oil's British government, yeah.
To remain close to safe
Yeah, exactly. They're like, bet. All right, I'm gonna swing on your friends.
Okay, Noor, thank you for now.
What are
Let's
you
go
gonna do
now
about
to
it?
Zain Bazravi in Doha here. Zain, the Iranian response was quick and it was wide. Iran targeting all U.S. bases in this region.
That is
I mean,
correct.
there's
It
no
has been
doubt
a
there's
very
going to be
hectic,
utter
very tense
fucking
morning, and so
destruction
far,
in
the events that
Iran.
we've seen play out, the only country in the GCC that Iran has not struck so far today,
You know, to what
has been
point,
Oman.
I don't
Every other
know.
country that is hosting a U.S. presence of some kind, troops, bases.
I
the
hope
fleet
people are safe.
in Bahrain, Central Command here in Qatar. Every one of them has come under some kind of attack. And here in Doha, in the last few hours,
UAE
we've heard
has
at least a
confirmed
dozen
missile
explosions.
casualties
The majority of
casualties
them
from the missile attack on
sound like
Dubai.
they were Patriot defense missiles intercepting incoming Iranian missiles. We did see on social media
They hit
smoke
Dubai?
rising over what looked like
Hold on,
a
that
part
just
of
cut- that
Doha.
just
We
clicked.
We can confirm that we did witness off in the distance there was a plume of smoke rising across the waterway somewhere in that direction, but it is still a very dynamic situation and we still cannot confirm exactly what was happening. But it has been a very busy morning. It has been a very tense morning with a number of explosions ongoing. Qatar's Interior Ministry putting out a statement saying everyone must comply and adhere to staying in their homes or in a safe place. Everyone must refrain from going out except for the utmost necessity, and this until the danger passes. Now, here we see the incongruity of this kind of violence in a place like Doha,
Several
in cities
massive
like
explosions
those
heard
here
in
the
Riyadh.
GCC. There are still tourists out and about.
According
taking
to the
photographs.
AP.
There are people trying to get them to take boat
That's
rides.
wild.
And so we don't see Qatar enforcing this shelter in place at the moment. The hope being that the initial salvo is over, but the warning from the U.S. Embassy to shelter in place this morning of missiles incoming, of making sure you have water and rations at home would indicate that they are prepared, they are perhaps preparing for a long-standing event to carry on.
Zain, thank you very much for now. Zain Bazravi
U.S.
in
casualties
Doha
in the
for us.
UAE?
Well, US President
Most
Donald
likely,
Trump
yes.
has said that the United States will never let Iran have a nuclear weapon.
You know, Trump
He's
said,
been speaking about this
hey,
US-Israeli
you know,
operation,
U.S.
saying
soldiers
that
are going to
Washington's
die.
aim is to destroy
It's all
Tehran's
good,
missiles
though.
program. Let's listen.
At least to
Iran is
him, I
the
guess,
world's
you know,
number one state
our lives don't
sponsor
matter.
of terror, and
U.S.
just
U.S.
recently killed
citizens,
tens of
your
thousands of
life,
its own citizens
your
on
life,
the
your
street
purpose
as
is
they
to give
protest.
your life
It has
for
always been the
oil.
policy of the United States, in particular, my administration, that this terrorist regime
The gears
can
of
never
this
have
country
a
are
nuclear
fucking
weapon.
lubricated
I'll say it
with
again.
oil and
They
blood.
can never have a nuclear weapon. That is why in Operation Midnight Hammer last June, we obliterated the regime's nuclear program at Fordow, Natanz, and Isfahan. After that attack, we warned them never to
Fucking
resume their
dumbass.
malicious pursuit of nuclear weapons, and we sought repeatedly to make a deal. We tried. They wanted to do it. They didn't want to do it. Again, they wanted to do it. They didn't want to do it. They didn't know what was happening. They just
Yeah,
wanted
Trump
to
just
practice
promised
evil.
the people of Iran freedom
But
at the
Iran
cost of
refused,
American
just as it
lives.
has for
Is this
decades
what
and
Americans want?
decades. They've
The
rejected
baby
every
crushing machine
opportunity to
needs
renounce
babies.
their nuclear
Yeah.
ambitions, and we can't take it anymore. Instead, they attempted to rebuild
Yeah,
their
if this is your
nuclear
first
program
time
and to
seeing the
continue
U.S. go
developing
into a war with
long-range missiles
their ass
that
out,
can now threaten our very good friends
you know,
and allies
this is
in
what we
Europe,
do.
our troops stationed overseas.
we assume an
and could
overwhelming
soon
amount of
reach the
force will
American homeland.
will get countries
Just
to surrender,
imagine
and when
how
they don't,
emboldened this regime would be if they
we
ever
just throw
had
more bodies at
and
it.
actually were armed with nuclear weapons.
What happened in
as a
Vietnam?
means
What happened
to
in Korea? We don't
deliver
talk
their
about
message.
Korea. What happened
For
in
these
Afghanistan?
reasons, the United
What
States
happened in Iraq?
military is undertaking a massive and ongoing operation
Because, you know, we
to
just
prevent
see
this very
the
wicked,
people of the
radical
United States as
dictatorship
expendable.
from threatening America
You know,
and our core
again, you know, I talk
national
about this on stream all the time,
interests.
right? You know,
We're going to destroy
they
their
don't care.
missiles and
The
raise
United
their
States, these
missile
owners, the
industry to
Epstein
the
class,
ground. It will be
the
totally,
Epstein class,
again,
these guys, they don't give a fuck about us. They don't fucking care about us, man. They're like, all right, well, yeah, let's go to war, and yeah, maybe it'll cost 10,000 lives. Who cares? Yeah, whatever.
Well, of course, he says
fucking, yeah, is it going to make my stock price go up?
For the Iranian people. But
yeah, we are the cattle. Yeah, exactly.
There are echoes here to the war in Iraq in 2003.
They didn't even think about it. Thousands of people die every fucking every year in the U.S. People die from starvation, man.
In the last few hours, appearing on American television,
in the U.S.,
saying they were close to a
deal. They don't give a fuck about us, man. If they cared, they would make sure that people had their needs met. But they don't.
The heart of the deal was there.
Instead, they take away benefits, and they're like, "Oh, well, if you want benefits, go sign up for the military. You'll get benefits there. That way they can throw you into this shit."
Hit the U.S. Homeland, and we're already within reach of cities across Europe. That's exactly the same excuse that George W. Bush made when he went to war in 2003. And of course, Donald Trump's popularity in winning the election in 2016 was all about, we've got to stop forever wars.
Yeah, direct hit in Dubai. That's fucking crazy, man.
Of regime change.
They hit Dubai. That's insane.
What he's doing now. It will cause him some problems with his base. They were concerned that he may well launch an attack. But from what we're hearing from him in that address that he posted,
I think that's more effective than hitting Israel, honestly.
For several days, and that is something that has been talked about. If there was going to be a military operation by the Americans and it wasn't a one and done, it would have to last several days.
Right.
And they've probably gained out the reaction from the Iranians, so they know what the reaction is going to be, and that is why this is going to take several days to play out.
I was going to ask you how this is going to play out, because at this stage of the conflict, it appears that the U.S.
is attacking Iraq.
Are focusing on decapitating strikes against the senior leadership figures in Tehran, degrading regime institutions, and so on. But if
the U.S. killed 5 popular mobilization forces and leaders in the assassination of Iran's.
To lay down your weapons if you don't.
Oh, okay, that was in 2020. Sorry. But yeah, they're attacking the Iraq's PMF.
The borders here in the United States, maybe even around the world, but it's not getting into Iran. He cut back Voice of America, which had a big Farsi service.
The U.S. bombed an elementary school.
Donald Trump into the United States. So it's likely that less people are hearing the message that he is putting out. Now, there's a plan in place that this will last several days, but it's clear that Donald Trump wants the Iranian people to rise up, a message that has been reinforced by Benjamin Netanyahu in his own address.
Which time? Just now.
People. They want them to take action. And there's concern among US allies in the region about what may come next, that there's no obvious successor, there's no obvious group to take over, and that could lead to chaos, and it could expand this war. So there is a real concern about what Donald Trump has done here, not least because he hasn't sought congressional approval, not least because 2 weeks ago he launched the Board of Peace here in the United States to say it would work alongside the United Nations. Donald Trump campaigned so much on saying that he would not get involved in stupid foreign wars.
5 kids were killed.
Are going to see that as exactly that.
Yeah, a huge political risk also for the U.S. president, no doubt. Alan, thank you very much for now. That's our chief U.S. correspondent, Alan Fisher. Well, Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has also made an address to the nation saying that the attack on Iran has been launched.
From War Monitor, IRNA news agency, a direct attack by the Zionist regime targeted a girls' primary school.
Into their own hands.
Resulting in the death of 5 students.
Campaign, Operation Lion
Classic Israel, bro. Classic American style too, yes.
Ayatollah regime in Iran. At this time, the IDF is attacking targets of the oppressive regime, facilities of the Revolutionary Guard, along with the United States military, targeting ballistic missile sites that threaten both Israel and U.S. forces. This operation will continue as long as necessary. In recent months, the tyrants in Iran have been plotting to rebuild their nuclear and missile capabilities and to bury them underground, where we won't be able to strike them.
They killed the advisor to the Ayatollah, apparently,
to that end,
in charge of the nuclear program.
Negotiations are trying to buy time, attempting to buy time in fruitless
and
deceitful
negotiations
supposedly with our American friends. Whoever lays down their weapons, including among the regime forces, will ensure their safety and secure their future. The Iranian people in all their diversity, Persians, Kurds, Azeris, Baluch, Abkhazians, and all other citizens of this wonderful nation, this is your opportunity to establish a new and free Iran. Take your destiny.
Well, some Israelis have expressed their support for the decision to attack Iran.
U.S. official to Fox News, no casualties on the strike, actually.
I don't want to wait anymore for what's coming. Now it's coming. Let's finish it and let's start the day. We've got Purim in 3 days, celebration of freedom. And it's kind of the history repeats itself because it was with Iran in Diamond Persian and it's coming back.
The attack about Israel and the American attack on Iran, that I think it's something we had to do. We see our enemies trying to get us back into war and to attack and threaten us, and they didn't have enough, and we need to protect ourselves. And I think with the Arab enemies,
Air India suspends all Middle East flights.
I've knew some wars in my life that we have to be the first. We have to establish that we are strong, we are
Iranian IRGC attacks with missiles and drones will continue as part of True Promise 4.
The first one to attack. I was expecting the United States to attack first. I'm not sure that it's good for Israel to be the first one, but once it's taken and once it's done, I think and the hope for a great change in the Mediterranean.
Let's bring back Noor O'Day in Ramallah once again. Noor, very interesting from what we heard there from that sample of Israelis. One woman there saying it's something that we had to do. We have to establish that we are strong. This is something that the Israeli government has been feeding to Israelis time and time again.
Absolutely. Attacking Iran, opposing Iran, trying to topple the government in Tehran is basically a point of consensus in Israeli politics. We even heard from Yair Lapid, the head of the opposition in Israel's Knesset a few days ago, saying if there is a confrontation with Iran, there would be no government and opposition. Israel would be united. And Benjamin Netanyahu is banking on that. He understands that nobody can oppose a confrontation with Iran, the most favored enemy, if one can say that, for lack of a better word. This is a confrontation that Netanyahu is framing as existential, even though there is no evidence that Iran has
the PMF in Baghdad taking casualties. They said 2 of the Iraqi Hashid Shaabi fighters have been killed.
On the other hand, attacked Iran several times.
These are of like the smaller groups that are in Iraq and Syria.
In this Israeli right-wing government is one where Israel must be the dominant hegemon militarily.
Where you still have resistance groups in Iraq. That place is still destabilized.
The regime is in line with that policy, with that doctrine, and there is
another video of an American base in Qatar getting hit.
Has agreed with Benjamin Netanyahu on that issue.
All right, Noor, thank you for now. Noor O'Day in Ramallah there for us. Well, before the attacks on Iran on Saturday, Israel carried out airstrikes in southern Lebanon. The Israeli army says it targeted Hezbollah.
Yeah, they're activating themselves. You could say that.
Region.
I think
the attacks are the latest breach of a ceasefire agreement.
I'm curious as to whether or not Hezbollah in Lebanon gets involved.
In the last few minutes, Lebanon's prime minister has been speaking, saying
because they've been bombed, like they're talking about right now, right? Hezbollah has seen southern Lebanon get bombed for the last year now, year plus. Many times the time for retaliation.
Well, there is concern in Lebanon that the country could become a theater of military operations.
Israel's Channel 12 says a 9-story building in northern Israel was struck by Iranian missiles, causing significant damage.
Developments, reiterating a warning that they will not allow the country to be dragged into this conflict, and that they will not allow, quote, a new adventure. These are words directed at Hezbollah, a strategic ally of Iran. Now, there is a concern even among the public. Gas stations, you see long lines of cars making sure, worried about the possibility of shortages in fuel. People also heading to supermarkets because there is concern about what will Hezbollah do.
IRGC officially calls it True Promise 4. True Promise 4 has begun today.
And it's not just that. There's also a concern, what will Israel do? Will Israel take advantage of the situation to escalate attacks against Hezbollah? Hezbollah. Just an hour before the attacks against Iran began, Israel carried out a wave of strikes in Iqlim al-Tafah region. That's in southern Lebanon, a strategic area where the Israeli army believes Hezbollah has underground facilities, weapons depots. On Thursday night, a wave of airstrikes in the east of the country.
Yeah, I thought we obliterated their nuclear program. The U.S. obliterated the nuclear program. Remember? It doesn't exist anymore. Nothing to fear. Everything's fine.
Days coinciding with the heightened tensions in the region, we are seeing an escalation in Israeli attacks, with some saying that this could be Israel trying to eliminate any potential threat coming from the Lebanon front.
Right.
Zina, thank you for now. Zina Khodr in Beirut for us. To discuss these latest developments further now, we're joined by Richard Weiss once again, who's a senior fellow at the NATO Defense College. He's in Virginia in the U.S. This attack on Iran,
according to Iranian media, all commanders of the IRGC,
military buildup in the region,
Islamic Republic of Iran Army, sorry, not the IRGC, of the Iran Army are in full health and safety.
Israeli waters. The force two nuclear reactor power advanced aircraft launch systems, allowing it to operate up to 220 missions per day. It joins the Nimitz-class aircraft carrier, the USS Abraham Lincoln. That carrier operates up to 70 aircraft, including FA-18 fighter jets and surveillance planes.
So what are they going to do? They're going to let
long-term deployment. They're being escorted
the
by
USS Lincoln just chill there? Because what has it been doing? It certainly didn't protect
Richard, when you
the UAE, which is right outside of.
President Trump called it, that's in the region right now. What does it tell you about where this conflict is headed?
The U.S. is prepared its forces for a intense air campaign. It may be
the U.S. naval base in Bahrain.
Campaign. I think that's the advantage of having one of the carriers so close to Israel, is that you can fly in resupplies, new munitions.
Yeah, it looks bad, bro.
And then it's easy to transfer to the ship than if it were in another location, and it also benefits from the Israeli air and missile defenses. But again, I think they've set the goal as regime change, and that means the conflict will end when there is a change in regime in Iran. And you asked a very good question earlier. If this doesn't occur, then what happens next? And that's the mystery I don't know either.
What do you think
this shit's cooked, bro. Fucking,
how long
what are we
do you
doing?
Anticipate this operation to take place? I mean,
what's the point of having the aircraft carriers out there if they're not protecting this shit?
Given the response we've seen from Iran so far, targeting all U.S. bases in the region, do you think this is going to be just a matter of days, or are we looking at a longer conflict?
I think the U.S. Air campaign against the Houthis in Yemen is going to be a better model.
Israel tried to eliminate Khamenei.
By relative standards, war between
and the president of
Iran and
sounds like
Israel
a failure.
Joined in by the U.S. So 12 days, that would be, I think, shorter than I would anticipate. The air campaign against the Houthis lasted a month and had an inconclusive result. I think that would be perhaps the worst case scenario for planners. But I think it's going to be more likely that the duration is going to be a couple weeks at least.
Yeah. When you look at how Iran has responded, the targets targeting the 5th U.S. fleet in Bahrain, for example, the Al Udeid base here, even though if the missiles were intercepted, what does it tell you about their capabilities?
The way they frame it, war in the Middle East, Iran attacks American bases.
They have, of course, been able to analyze these targets, develop a number of short-term
missiles. Why would they do that?
They didn't
That's
really
crazy.
use last June, except for a single strike against
you guys
the
believe
U.S. base
that?
in Qatar. So they have the capabilities to conduct these strikes with missiles, with cruise missiles at some point as well.
No mention of the 9-story building that was hit.
Impact, since the U.S. forces have largely
Not that I see.
Scaled back their presence there, and as we discussed, relying on forces in Israel and elsewhere. Then the political impact, as I understand it, the Iranian theory of victory at this point is to raise the risk of escalation, alarm the governments of the Gulf and elsewhere, and get them to intervene to force a halt to the operations, perhaps by interceding with the White House.
Richard, thank you so much for your expertise. Thank you for joining us as we continue to follow these
another wave coming into Israel, it seems like.
And Israel on Iran. Qatar has announced the closure of its airspace.
Missiles launched from Iran towards southern Israel.
The Qatari Defense Ministry says it successfully intercepted a number of missiles that targeted its territory. In a statement, it said the ministry.
This is just like non-stop, bro. This has been going on for 3 hours now, 3.5 hours.
With all missiles being intercepted before reaching Qatari territory. The Qatari Armed Forces possesses
more explosions in Abu Dhabi.
Resources to safeguard the nation's security and to firmly confront any external threat. It reiterated that the security situations remain stable and fully under control. The ministry also reassures citizens, residents and visitors, urging everyone to remain calm and to adhere to instructions issued by the competent security authorities. Well, at least one person now, we understand, has been killed in the United Arab Emirates, according to a government statement there. The Ministry of Defense of
the U.S. said nobody died. What do you mean?
Emirates was subjected today to a brazen attack with Iranian ballistic missiles, which the UAE air defenses handled with the highest efficiency.
Shrapnel falling all over the West Bank.
In the country also dealt with the fallout of debris in a residential area in the city of Abu Dhabi, which resulted in some material damage
all over the West Bank and Jordan.
Individual of Asian nationality. The safety of citizens, residents and visitors represents an utmost priority that cannot be compromised. Now, Iran's Supreme National Security Council has issued a statement which reads, according to the information obtained from these two corrupt regimes, referring to the U.S. and Israel, their operations will continue in Tehran and some other cities. The government has already.
All right, guys, it's 4:30 in the morning. I gotta go to sleep, man.
About
this
the supply of public necessities.
It's a lot. It's been a lot. It's been a long night.
Will be closed until further notice. Banks will continue to.
I think I streamed for like 3 hours from
what?
Government
offices will operate at 50%
like
capacity
10 to
for the time
12:30 or something. 9:30 to 10. 9:30 to 12:30 or something.
One of our correspondents in Tehran.
You did a stream earlier before that.
Aftermath of the attacks on the Iranian capital.
I'm right now in the Iranian capital's downtown.
If you like what you see, make sure you follow and then maybe give me a sub or something.
After the initiation of a campaign of
all right, yeah. Good night, guys. I hope you guys have a good night. Everybody stay safe. You know, let's hope this stuff ends sooner than later. You know, I really don't think we want to see lives lost on a grand scale. I don't look forward to that.
There are other places across the country, other cities that have been also targeted.
Do the outro.
Facilities and nuclear scientists, and not just the military headquarters, but actually the civilian infrastructures, living fatalities. And right now, as we speak to people, there is a lot of concern regarding the possibility of escalation, not just here in the capital, but also across the country. And now this is a very critical situation, because what we are hearing from the Iranian side is that there are going to be a crushing response ahead when it comes to actually preparations of the military response from Tehran side. This is a developing story, and we are closely following to see what comes next. And still, I can hear sounds of explosion here in the downtown. I'll update you further as the story goes on.
In the last few minutes, there's been another explosion heard here in Doha, Qatar's capital. Let's bring in Axel Zaimovic, who's on the Corniche Doha waterfront. What's been happening there, Axel?
Well, Foley, like
just like a few hours ago, we keep hearing all these explosions and interception coming from the Qatar's air defense. And not long ago, we actually got a press release from the Interior Ministry where they confirming that these attacks that targeting the country's infrastructure were what they call successfully intercepted. And they really go here to explain that according to initial field assessment, there's no damage, there's no casualties, and there's no material destruction recorded so far. But also, they mentioned here particularly no damage is recorded in the residential area. So we don't know what's the situation out there with the American, the largest military base